morning, everyone. Welcome to the Toronto East York District Committee of Adjustment hearing. We apologize for the delay in getting us started. There were some technical issues that we were dealing with at our end. Thank you for your patience. Today is November 12th, 2020. Some housekeeping matters before we begin our hearing today. During the declared emergency in the City of Toronto, Committee of Adjustment virtual public hearings are being conducted by electronic means through WebEx, an online digital platform, and streamed onto the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel. These measures are necessary to comply with physical distancing requirements and a provincial order that limits attendance at public gatherings. This will be a virtual public hearing, and participants who have registered in advance will be able to make their presentations to the committee using WebEx, an online event that is being moderated by city staff. Anyone wishing to view the hearing may do so by watching it on YouTube. Participants who have registered in advance will be connecting either by their computer, a phone or a tablet app, or by telephone. All participants will be automatically muted on entry. When your item is called, each participant will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. Only the committee members will be participating by video today. All registered participants will be participating by audio only. We ask that you mute all your personal devices, including the YouTube stream, when you're not speaking to prevent transmission of background noise and minimize disruption to the meeting. Please unmute your computer microphones before speaking. Please ensure to mute the YouTube streaming while you are speaking. The hearing will take at a slower pace. Each item will be stated, and then a moment will be given to allow everyone time to find their place. Please write down the WebEx meeting access code and attendee ID from your WebEx meeting invitation and keep it nearby for quick reference. If you experience lag or audio issues, disconnect and call into the hearing and enter this information. I will, for a reference, provide the WebEx phone number right now, which is 416-915-6530. The access code is 177-041-8740. The WebEx event number is 177-041-8740. Please call into the hearing with the phone number that you have registered with so that staff can recognize your number and unmute you when your item comes up. Before we begin our hearing, we acknowledge the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit and the Williams Treaty signed with multiple Mississaugas and the Chippewa Indians. In accordance with Section 45 and 52 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment for the City of Toronto, Toronto East York District is now called to order. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for minor variances from the provisions of the zoning bylaw. It also considers applications for permission to extend or alter lawful non-conforming uses and considers applications for consents to create new laws. To ensure a fair and a timely hearing, I will vet the agenda today to determine which applications can be dealt with immediately and which applications require a more in-depth review. Each speaker, including the applicant or the agent, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I will comment when you are reaching 5 minutes. When addressing the committee, please clearly state your name and address. Please remember to confine your remarks to the matters outlined in the application. The applicant or the agent will proceed first and will make a presentation to the Committee of Adjustment. Please note that the committee may not entertain revisions to the proposals at the hearing today. The committee may decide to defer the application if it's substantially revised to ensure that the revised application is accurate and that all those entitled to the notice of the application are informed of the changes. Then individuals, either in support or in opposition to the application, will be invited to speak, Please ensure to include all your remarks or concerns that you may have. Committee members may also ask questions of each speaker after they have finished their presentation. If there are several speakers sharing the same view, please select a spokesperson to present the group's opinion. We certainly want to hear your views. However, covering the same points will not advance your cause. Please be advised that all participants at the hearing today will be given a chance to speak before the committee moves on to the applicant for a rebuttal or response to the concerns raised. The chair will advise if there are any questions for the participants. When all speakers are finished, the applicant or the agent has an opportunity to rebut only those issues that were raised by the speakers. Please note that unless committee members have any questions, the participants will not get a chance to rebut the applicant's response. That will mark the end of the discussion. The application will be then taken into the committee for a decision. Members of the committee have received the minutes of the last meeting. I would like to have a motion to confirm and adopt the meeting minutes. May I have a mover? We received the minutes in the last meeting.
Through the chair, since this is a Toronto East York hearing, we have no previous minutes to adopt.
But we're not going to entertain the Scarboro.
That's correct.
Perfect.
That's correct.
Thank you. Apologies for that, members of the committee. Are there any declarations of interest of the panel or the staff today? Okay, thank you. There are no declarations of interest. Mr. Deputy Secretary Treasurer, have you received any requests for deferral?
Through the chair, we received one request for deferral. It's item 2, 199 Kingswood Road. The reason for the deferral is the applicant has requested to defer the application sine die to address some concerns raised by the neighbors in regards to this application.
Okay, members of the committee, we have a request for us for deferral of item number 2. This is 199 Kingswood Road. Any questions or concerns with the deferral request? See none. If there are no, can I please have a motion on the deferral request?
Madam Chair, I would move that we defer the application of sine die.
Thank you. May I have a seconder?
Madam Chair, I'll second that motion.
Right. All in favor of this motion? Motion's carried. The application for 199 Kingswood Road has been deferred sine die. Thank you. Are there any other requests for deferral?
Through the chair, there are no other requests
Thank
for
you.
deferral.
Thank you. I will now get to the agenda. I will call each item in the order listed on the agenda and ask if anyone other than the agent or the applicant is present in interest and wishes to address the committee. If there are people in interest, the matter will be held until all non-contested applications have been cleared from the agenda. If there are no persons present in interest, the application, the agent or the applicant will proceed with a presentation if required. The committee may ask questions or take the matter into committee for a decision. I will now begin the vetting of the agenda. For item number 1, 10 Celebrity Place. Sorry, my apologies, that's the participant. The first item is 142 Barker Avenue. Do we have the agent here? Agent is Trevor Gain. Are you?
Good morning, Madam Chair, committee members. I am Trevor Gain. I'll be here speaking on behalf of the owners for this application.
Thank you very much, Trevor. Members of the committee, do you have any questions for Trevor at this time? The application before us is for 152 Barker Avenue, and we have 6 variances before us today. Any questions for Trevor? I see none. If there are no questions or concerns, would you like to cover the motion on this application? Member Mohammed.
Madam Chair, I will move the motion for approval of item number 1, subject to the condition of urban forestry.
Okay. Member, may I have a seconder on this motion?
Madam Chair, I'll second that motion.
Okay. All in favor of this motion? The motion's carried. The application for 142 Barker Avenue has been approved, subject to conditions of urban forestry. And Trevor, you are aware of that condition?
I didn't see it in the file, but I'm sure it's just the standard forestry condition. I'll follow up with them. It's probably an arborist report or something like that.
Okay, it's the condition number 3, and the condition number 3 pertains to payment in lieu of planting of the street tree.
Right.
Okay.
Actually, thanks for refreshing my memory. I do recall that now, and that's not a problem for our clients.
Okay, thank you very much. The motion is carried. The application is approved subject to the enforced condition number 6. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Now we move to item number 2. Item 2 was deferred. Item number 3 is 78 King Edward Avenue. We have Edward Lee as the agent registered with us. Edward, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Good morning, everyone.
All right, thank you very much. I do not have any other registered participant on this. Members of the committee, do you have any questions for Edward Lee? This is for 78 King Edward Avenue. The application before us is has 5 variances. If there are no questions for Edward, Member Mohammed?
Madam Chair, there is no question. Just wanted to confirm that the applicant knows about the urban forestry condition.
Edward, are you aware of the conditions of urban forestry, and that is condition number 1?
Yes, I am, and we accept the condition.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks, Member Mohammed. Can I have a motion on this application?
Madam Chair, I find the 5 requested variances meet the 4 tests under the Planning Act, and I move for approval subject to urban forestry condition 1.
Thank you. May I have a seconder on this application?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'll second that.
All right. All in favor of this motion? The motion's carried. The application for 78 King Edward Avenue has been approved subject to condition of urban forestry number 1. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We now move to item number 4. Item number 4 is 24 Verral Avenue. And we have registered with us the applicant and the owner, Brendan Dermody. Are you with us, Brendan?
I am. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for hosting me here.
Thank you, Brendan. Stay with us. Members of the committee, any questions for Brendan at this time? Okay. Brendan, are you aware of the conditions of urban forestry? Condition number 2?
I am, yes, and I agree to that.
And are you also aware of the condition of transportation services regarding paving permit?
Yes, I am. And I agree to that condition to remove the parking pad once the construction's done. So.
Okay, thank you. Members of the committee, if there are no questions for Brendan, may I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I recommend approval of this application subject to the conditions of urban forestry and the conditions of transportation planning.
Okay, may I have a seconder? Members say second the motion. All
Madam Chair, I second the motion.
Okay, thank you. All in favor of this motion? The motion's carried. Brendan, your application has been approved, subject to condition of urban forestry and transportation services.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We now move to item number 5. Item number 5 is 154 Bingham Avenue. And we have listed with us the applicant, and there are 2 speakers registered with us in opposition. On that, I would, committee, the matter has to be held for further discussion because the speakers would like to speak to this application. So item number 5 is being held for further discussion. Item number 6 is 89 Bastedo Avenue. And at this point, I would, I think we have a registered speaker here as well on this one. So this will be held down for further discussion.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
For this particular item, the public notice that was sent out It did indicate two requested variances, 0.78 FSI and a rear yard soft landscaping variance. However, based on the zoning notice that was prepared, and we have confirmed this with the applicant, only one variance is being requested for an FSI of 0.76. No new public notice is required to consider the requested variance, but I wanted to clarify that to the panel and to the members of the public.
Okay, thank you, Colin, for that. This matter is being held for further discussion, so we'll come back to it. Thank you for the clarification. We now move to item number 7. Item number 7 is 39 Scarborough Beach Boulevard. And members, and we have registered with us Barry Goldman as the applicant. Barry, are you with us?
I am here. Good morning.
Good morning, Barry. So members of the committee, we have the applicant with us. We have before us an application for 39 Scarborough Beach Boulevard, and there is one variance that is being requested. Any questions for the applicant?
Yes, Madam Chairman, I have a question for the applicant. Perhaps we can deal with it immediately. I am confused, sir, as to how many dwelling units are in the existing building at number 39 Scarborough Beach Boulevard.
Currently, there are 2 units, one on the second floor, one on the ground floor, and the basement is unfinished. And the proposal is to finish the basement and construct an additional 2 units in the basement, bringing the total to 4 units.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions for the applicant? This is item 7, 39 Scarborough Beach Boulevard. I see none. If there are no questions, may I have a motion on this application? Member Gary, yes. On record, we have one letter of opposition that was received, and the committee has had a chance to review that letter as well. If you feel you need to discuss this further or hold it unless you're ready to, Mr. Taylor. Yes.
Madam Chair, may I ask a question?
Please.
Sir, can you explain, rationalize, justify not providing any parking for these 2 additional units?
Yes, there is a small area behind the building where it is physically possible to park a car. However, because there's a reciprocal right-of-way, it's not possible to show a parking space that meets the definition of parking under the zoning definition. The physical reality is it is possible to park 2 small cars behind the building. And I guess I would just add, in terms of parking, when we look at the city as a whole, you know, especially with the new laneway houses that have waived parking, I think the city planners have recognized that it's more important to provide quality housing. More and more people aren't using cars, and I'd suggest that as a city, we're starting to relax the parking restrictions in order to allow different types of housing units to be constructed legally. The area is well served by transit.
Okay, thank you, Barry. Member Said, you had a question? If I have a fear this is going into a little longer discussion. If you want to hold down as a committee, we can certainly come back, unless this is a quick question, Member Said. It's a quick one? Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This quick question I want to be resolved at the point because one of the member committee have a similar question. Mr. Berry, as you said, there is a space available where the car can be parked in the street. While reviewing the letter of opposition, I think the neighbors or the person living close to that locality, they have said the street parking is not that good, or there is our issue at the moment. So could you just tell me what the street parking condition is?
I'm sorry, if you could say that again a little slower and perhaps a little louder. I had a little trouble hearing you.
To be very straight, like, could you elaborate on the street parking condition? The letter of opposition says that maybe there is no space already.
I do have the letter of opposition here. And I think what the letter is asking is, would the new secondary units be denied ability to obtain on-street parking? I don't think that's something that is typically addressed in a zoning hearing. Typically, if you've got a legal dwelling unit, then yes, you're permitted to try and obtain street parking. I would just suggest that as a city, it's incumbent upon us to try and create more different types of dwelling units, so it's not simply a city of houses and condominiums. We need other different kinds of places to live so that we can have a good city with a mix of income types and different kinds of people living together. There is still street parking available, and I note as time goes by, the rates of car ownership are dropping, and more people are using transit and bicycle to get around the city. And again, with regards to, next to my house, there is an existing building with 3 dwelling units in it. The neighbor is putting a laneway house as of right. He's not going to committee because the zoning permits this. And he's constructing a laneway suite, which will add a 4th dwelling unit to the property next to me and remove 3 parking spaces. So we're going from a situation of 3 units, 3 parking spaces to 4 units, 1 parking space. That's occurring as of right. It's next to me, and I'll note I'm in favor of that. I recognize I park on my street. It is going to create more competition, but again, as the city grows, we need to provide more housing. And I don't think simply adding more condominiums is going to address the issue in a good way for the city. So we have to relax the parking requirements in order to get these units in.
Okay, thank you, Barry. Member Said, are you okay with that?
Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks a lot. Members of the committee, any further questions, or are we ready for a motion?
Madam Chair, I have a comment. I have a comment and a question.
Well, let's do this.
Let's hold it down.
Yeah, let's
okay?
hold it down. I feel we're getting a little bit more into the details of this, and if this requires further discussion, then I'm going to hold this down. So Barry, please stay with us. Our committee members have additional questions or comments for you. So we will hold down this item and come back to it during the main body. Okay? Thank you. We now move to item number 8. Item number 8 is 77 Wembley Drive. And we have an application before us for variances to allow, looking at a public notice here, there are 2 variances before us. And we have the agent listed with us, Chris, as the agent. Chris is there with us. But we also have the neighbor's representative. What I'm not sure is this neighbor in opposition, or is that a person in support? Colin Claxton is the name.
Yeah. Yes. Good morning.
Good morning, Colin.
Madam Chair.
Thank you, Colin. Good morning. Are you here to speak in opposition to this application or in support of this application?
In opposition to the application.
Thank you, Colin. On that note, we will hold down this matter and come back to it in the main body. At this point, we're only vetting the applications that have no speakers. So thank you for your patience. To stay with us. So item number 8 is being held for further discussion because we also have a speaker. Item number 9 is 405 Sammon Avenue, and the application before us requires 1 variance. We have listed with us the agent as Lara McInnes. Lara, are you with us?
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair and Committee.
Good morning, Lara. Members of the committee, we have Lara with us. We have the application before us, requesting for 1 variance. Laura, are you aware of the condition from community planning staff report that should the committee grant this approval, that it be tied to the plans?
Yes, is this the condition would be not to build above the enclosed front porch?
Yes, so
Yeah.
the community planning is recommending that should the committee approve this application, as the variance relates to the front yard setback, shall be limited to the proposed porch enclosure, provided that the enclosure
Yes.
is constructed substantially in accordance with the dimensions shown on the drawing. So basically, time to decision for plan.
Yes, the owners and I are aware of this, and they're in support of this condition.
Okay, thank you very much. Members of the committee, any questions for Laura at this time? I see none. If there are no questions, can I please have a motion? Member Said?
Madam Chair, I would like to move the motion for approval of item number 9, subject to the community planning conditions.
May I have a seconder, please?
Madam Chair, I will second that motion.
Right, all in favor of this motion? The motion's carried. The application for 405 Sammon Avenue has been approved, subject to the condition. Subject to the condition of community staff report that the decision refers to plans A2, A6, and A8. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We now move to item number 10. Item number 10 is 197 Heward Avenue. And we have listed with us the agent as Jeffrey Moot. Jeffrey, are you with us?
I am. Good morning.
Good morning, Jeffrey. Members of the committee, we have the agent with us. Jeffrey, are you aware of the committee of the urban forestry condition number 2?
We are aware.
Okay, and we also have a community planning staff report recommending that the variance be limited to 1 story.
That's correct. We are in agreement.
Sorry, could you speak a bit louder, sir?
We are aware and we are in agreement.
Okay, thank you. Members of the committee, any questions for the applicant? Seeing none. If there are no questions, please have a motion on this application.
Madam Chair, I would move approval of this application subject to the urban forestry condition, item number 2, and of course also subject to the condition through the community planning in respect of the forestry.
All right, so the community planning staff report condition related to the depth shall be limited to 1 story in height. May I have a seconder, please?
Madam Chair, I will second that motion.
Right, all in favor of this motion? The motion's carried. The application for 197 Heward Avenue has been approved subject to conditions of urban forestry and community planning staff report. Thank you. We now move to item number 11. Item number 11 is 86 Dagmar Avenue, and we have an application before us that has 3 variances requested. On this application, we have listed with us Giorgio Lolos, who is the owner's representative. Are you with us, Giorgio?
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee.
Good morning. Giorgio, are you aware of the urban forestry condition number 2?
And we would mostly deal with that upon building permit submission.
Okay, thank you very much. I just want to confirm
Thank you.
aware of the condition so that if should the committee make a decision on this, you're aware what conditions we're talking about. So,
Yes, Madam.
Thank you. For record, we have 1 letter of opposition that the committee has received and reviewed. Members of the committee, any questions for Giorgio at this time? Member Said.
Mr. Giorgio, I'm wondering, has you started the renovation already? If yes, at what stage you are?
Through you, Madam Chair. Renovate, I don't quite understand the question. Are you asking me if we started renovation for this proposal that's in front of the committee right now?
Exactly.
Yes.
Thank you.
No, absolutely not. No.
Thanks.
I mean, we have a permit in hand to renovate the structure and renovate the basement, but we don't have any permits to allocate for this front yard sort of walk that we're asking for today.
So, Mr. Gargi, so I understand you are confirming that there is no renovation is going on at this point of time at third floor.
So basically, the question was asked that if renovation works have begun, and the answer was no, the renovations have not begun.
Yeah.
Not any question to what we're asking for variances today. No.
No. Okay. Thank you, Giorgio, for that clarification. Members of the committee, any more questions for Giorgio? If there are no questions, may I please have a motion? Mr. Taylor?
Madam Chair, I find the three variances requested meet the four tests under the Planning Act, and I recommend approval subject to urban forestry condition number 2.
May I have a seconder to this motion?
Yes, Madam Chair, I would second the approval of this application.
All in favor of this motion?
Subject to this condition.
Motion's carried. Giorgio, the application has been approved, subject to condition of urban forestry, condition number 2.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee.
Thank you. We now move to item number 12. Item number 12 is 200 Golfview Avenue. We have an application before us that is requesting 2 variances. We have with us Mike D. Overa, who's the agent. Mike, are you with us?
Hi, yes, my name is Mike De Oliveira. I'm here representing 200 Golfview, and I'm here from Replacement Design located at 911 Davenport Road.
Okay, thank you. Members of the committee, we have Mike with us. Mike, are you aware of the urban forestry condition number 2 that has been presented to the committee?
Yes, we're aware of that.
Okay, members of the committee, any questions for Mike? There are no questions. If there are no questions, can I please have a motion?
Madam Chair, I recommend approval of this application subject to the urban forestry conditions.
Thank you. May I have a seconder? Member Said seconds the motion. All in favor of this motion? Motion's carried. The application has been approved, subject to condition from urban forestry, which is condition number 2.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We now move to item number 13. Item number 13 is 202 Golfview Avenue. And we have Mike with us again. Mike.
Hello, my name is Mike De Oliveira. I'm here representing 202 Golfview, and I'm from Replacement Design located at 911 Davenport Road.
Thank you. Mike, there is a condition of urban forestry, condition number 1, and then there's also a condition from community planning staff report recommending permeable pavers. Are you aware of those conditions?
Yes, we discussed that with planning, and we've discussed with the owner, so they're okay with those conditions.
Thank you. Members of the committee, any question for Mike for item number 13? This is 202 Golfview Avenue. Member McCauley?
No questions.
Okay.
I put forth the motion if there's no other comments.
I see none.
Okay.
So please go ahead.
I recommend approval of this application subject to the conditions of urban forestry and urban planning. Community planning, sorry. I'm taking.
Okay.
So let me say that again. I recommend approval of this application subject to the conditions of urban forestry and community planning.
Thank you. May I have a seconder, please? Member Said seconds the motion. All in favor of this motion? Motion's carried. The application for 202 Golfview Avenue has been approved, subject to condition of urban forestry and community planning. Staff report.
All right, thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you. We now move to item number 14. Item number 14 is 1260 Broadview Avenue. And we have with us Bill Ross as the owner's representative, and there are two speakers registered, Matthew Clare and Michelle Bittel.
Through the chair, these two speakers do not have a phone number listed. However, I do have two callers on the line. I would need to check to see if it's them, okay?
Please go ahead.
Good morning. Hello?
Hello?
Hi there. Can you give us your name, please?
Chris Marchese. I'm on the line for item number 8.
Okay, thank you. Please hold.
There's one more?
There's one more. Hello, good morning.
Hi, yes?
Hi, can we ask your name, please?
Yeah, my name is Chris Marchese. I'm on the line for item number 877 Wembley Drive.
Okay, so you're calling on two numbers?
No, I'm just here on one. 416-626-5445.
Okay, thank you.
Please.
Through the chair, there were two speakers registered to speak on this item. However, they did not. They were required to provide a phone number, but they have not provided a phone number, and they have not registered to speak. They aren't registered on WebEx to speak. Can I if they are hearing this right now? What I would suggest is that we perhaps move on
to the next item.
Move on to the next item, and if you can, if you're hearing this, there were two speakers, Matthew Clare and Michelle Bittel. If you are hearing this, we will let you please register into WebEx, and we will consider your item. However, we can't.
Yeah.
I think we probably should just give them maybe a moment.
Yeah, sure.
So
no
we'll
problem.
we'll go to the next item, and then we'll come back.
Okay, thank you, Colin. I totally agree with you. So for both Matthew Clare and Michelle Bittel, if you're listening in, please, because we don't have a registered number for you, nor have you called in, if you wish to speak to this item, please call in through the WebEx phone-in number, which is available on the notice, or you can call in, or and it also has, the notice also has the details of the event number.
I have one number. Can we give it one last try with this number?
Sure.
Thank you. Good morning. Is this 416-880?
7020.
And your name, please?
Hello?
Hi.
Michelle Bittel. And I did call in through the audio and gave my information.
Okay, and what item number are you calling for?
Let me see here.
Or
or
the address.
Item number. Where is that listed?
Or the address.
Item or the address?
The address is for 1260.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Broadview Avenue. And I'm confused because I did follow the instructions and I dialed in via the phone.
That's
on the
okay.
number.
We've been having technical difficulties here as well, so that's okay. Thanks for hanging on.
And I did register my number, so I just want to make sure you know.
Great. Okay, stay with us then.
So Michelle, stay with us.
Okay, I don't need to change anything, right?
No, you don't need to change anything. Just stay with us. And I just want to confirm you are here to speak in opposition to this application?
Yes, I am for 1260 Broadview.
Perfect. Thank you, Michelle. So we are going to hold. Thank you. We are going to hold down this item and come back to it. And Matthew Clare, if you are listening to us, please dial in because this matter has been held. So you have a few minutes to sort of try logging into if you wish to speak with us. Thank you. So item number 14 is being held. We now go to item number 15. Item number 15 is 57 Kildonan Avenue. And we have an application before us that requires one variance. We have with us listed Candace Loretta Holly as the owner or applicant. Candace, you're with us?
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. And just for your correction there, it's actually 57 Kildonan Road, not Kildonan Avenue.
Thank you. Thank you for confirming that. It's 57 Kildonan Road, not Avenue. We have Candace with us and we have two registered participants. I think we need to check on one. Colin, if you allow me, because you did ask me to look into this one.
Through the chair, I'm just checking the email address to see whether the applicant did provide a phone number.
Okay, and I think the question was more about whether this person would like to speak in opposition or in support.
Oh, that's correct. Through the chair. Carrie, can you contact this person for
Agnes.
item 15 just to confirm what their position is on the application?
And that's Agnes Bowers,
Yeah.
registered with the phone number. I don't want to go into a vetting, whereas this person would like to speak to it.
Through the chair, no one seems to be answering at this contact information.
Okay, so I would say we hold down this item.
You can hold down hold down the item for maybe one more item, and give if this person is listening in, Agnes Bowers, if you're listening in, can I ask that you call in or register on WebEx? We will go to the next item and then we'll come back. If not, we will the committee will deal with we'll deal with the item.
Okay. We can always come back to it after we have completed the vetting, just to give more time. Okay. So committee, we will come back to this item after we've completed the vetting to allow Agnes Bowers an opportunity to log in if this person wishes to log in. Thank you. So we now move to item number 16. Item number 16 is 92 Marlow Avenue. The application before us was requesting for 4 variances, and we have with us registered as Christopher B. Smith. Christopher.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. I'm here, yes.
Good morning. Thank you so much. We do not, members of the committee, we do not have any conditions from any department. We had a memo from Transportation Services. There were no objections on record. We have 10 letters of support. Any questions for Christopher Smith? I see none. If there are no questions, can I please have a motion? Member Said.
Madam Chair, I will move the motion for approval of item 16. There are no conditions attached to that.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor for approval of this application. There are no conditions. May I have a seconder, please?
Madam Chair, I will second that approval.
Thank you. All in favor of this motion? The motion's carried. The application for 92 Marlow Avenue has been approved, and there are no conditions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. Appreciate it. Have a good day.
Have a good day. All right, we now move to item number 17. Item number 17 is 127 Glen Albert Drive. We have the application before us requesting for 3 variances. We have listed with us Nafisa Zangiabadi. Are you with us, Nafisa? Nafisa, are you with us? You can unmute yourself. Okay, let's see if there's any questions. Members of the committee, we do have Nafisa, but I guess there's some audio issue. Any questions for Nafisa? And there's a condition of urban forestry number 2. I typically confirm with the applicant, but this person's having an audio issue. Nafisa, can you say something, please? Hello, Nafisa, can you hear us? Can you say something, please? Okay. Yeah. So I guess there's some audio issues. Members of the committee, I guess we can't speak with Nafisa. There's some audio issues. If there are no questions, or do we have a motion?
Madam Chair, I find the 3 requested variances satisfy the 4 tests under the Planning Act, and I move for approval subject to urban forestry condition number 2.
Okay, thank you. May I have a seconder, please?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'll second that approval with that condition.
Gary seconds the motion. All in favor of this motion? Motion's carried. The application for 127 Glen Albert Drive has been approved subject.
Yes.
Hi, Nafisa.
Hello?
Hi.
Yes, sorry, my speaker was off. Sorry.
That's okay. So we've dealt with your application. Your application has been approved, and there was a condition from urban forestry. I assume you're aware of that condition?
Yes, and we agree to that.
Okay, well, the application has been approved subject to that condition. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Perfect timing. Okay. We now move to item number 18. Item number 18 is 220 Riverdale Avenue. The application before us is requesting 3 variances. We have with us listed as the applicant Sava Miokovic.
Through the chair, the applicant has not signed in, but the applicant's assistant is available to us.
Okay, so Vinny, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, thank you. Just want to check. There are no registered participants. So members of the committee, we have Vinny, who is the applicant's assistant. Any questions for Vinny? Before we do, Vinny, are you aware of the condition of urban forestry condition number 2?
Yes, I am.
Okay, perfect. Members of the committee, any questions for Vinny? If there are no questions, can I please have a motion on this application? Member McCall.
Madam Chairman, I will recommend approval of this application. Yes, there is a condition of urban forestry, subject to the conditions of urban forestry. Thank you.
May I have a seconder, please? Right. We have a seconder. All in favor of this motion? The motion's carried. The application has been approved, subject to condition of urban forestry, condition number 2. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.
You too. We now move to item number 19. Item number 19 is 26 Columbine Avenue. The application before us is requesting for 4 variances. And we have listed with us Mike De Oliveira, the applicant on this application. Mike, are you with us?
Hi, hello again. Yes, my name is Mike De Oliveira. I'm here representing 26 Columbine, firm replacement design located at 911 Davenport Road.
Thank you, Mike. Members of the committee, any questions for Mike on this application? Okay, no questions. All right. If there are no questions, may I please have a motion on this application? Member Said.
Madam Chair, I move the motion for approval of item number 19, and there is no conditions attached to that.
Thank you. May I have a seconder? Right, we have a seconder. All in favor of this motion? The motion's carried. The application for 26 Columbine Avenue has been approved.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you. We now move to item number 20. Item number 20 is 56 Greenwood Avenue. And the application before us is requesting for 7 variances. We have with us listed the agent as Paige. Paige, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you. Members of the committee, any questions for Paige? This is for item number 20, 56 Greenwood Avenue. Member Macaulay?
To the applicant, I noticed that this is a variance for a front porch enclosure and privacy screening. The rest of the variances, if you could confirm that they recognize the existing situation?
Yes, I can confirm.
Thank you.
No further questions for Paige? I see none.
Madam Chair, I recommend approval of this application, recognizing that although there's numerous variances, they recognize the existing situation and legalize them. So I recommend approval.
Okay, thank you. May I have a seconder?
I'll second, Madam Chair.
Mr. Taylor seconds that motion. All in favor of this motion? The motion's carried. The application has been approved for 56 Greenwood Avenue.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you. And we now move to item number 21. Item 21, 82 Eden Avenue. We do have the opposition and the immediate neighbor listed as opposition, so we are going to hold down this item and come back to it. So to the agent and owner, Marty Ting, and the immediate neighbor who wishes to speak, Annie LaBelle, we are holding down this item and come back to it in the main body. Let us go back and check on item number 15. Item number 15 was briefly held to give opportunity to Agnes Bowers to connect. Staff, has Agnes joined us?
Through the chair, no, she has not.
Okay, so committee members, in this situation where we have a registered member but this person has not logged in, are you prepared to deal with this application now? We have the owner and the applicant, and we also have one member in support. Would you like to discuss this further, hold it down, or make a decision on it?
Well, perhaps just a bit of comment. So it's for a pool said to be in the front yard, although one of the support letters suggests that that it's partially anyway in the side yard. So
Okay.
that's all I had really.
Okay, so that's a comment. Any question? And we have Candace with us.
Yes, I am here. And just as a note, Agnes is my neighbor across the street, and she is in support of this. She's had an incident with her baby right now, so she's not able to speak at this moment.
Okay, thank you very much for clarifying that, Candace. We weren't sure, and we wanted to make sure that this person had a chance to speak, but I'm glad you clarified that.
Thank you.
Okay, so, and we have Isabel as well in support. Members of the committee, any questions for Candace or the member in support? Okay, I see none. If there are no questions or comments, may I please have a motion on this application?
Madam Chair, I would move approval of this application. Do not see any conditions, so move approval as requested.
May I have a seconder, please? Mr. Taylor, you wanted to second the motion?
I'll second the motion just with a quick comment that there's no real option in this situation. Ostensibly, this pool is being built in a side yard, and I've got no issues at all and would be delighted to second the motion.
Okay, thank you. All in favor of this motion? Motion's carried. The application for 57 Kildonan Road has been approved, and there are no conditions. Thank you. Okay, that brings us to the end of the agenda for vetting. Let's go through the items that were held. So the first item that was held was item number 5 for 154 Bingham Avenue. Item number 6, 89 Bastedo Avenue. Item number 7, 39 Scarboro Beach Boulevard. Item number 8, 77 Wembley Drive. Item number 14, 1260 Broadview Avenue. And item number 21, which is 82 Eden Avenue. Okay, thank you. So for all those items that have been held, the listeners who are listening into, please be prepared. Your item will be called at any moment as we go through the deliberations on the held items. So moving to the first item held, 154 Bingham Avenue. And for this item, we have Lanny Geffen as the applicant. Lanny, are you with us?
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I'm Lenny Gaffin, and I'm joined by my wife, Christine Holder. We are the owners and residents of 154 Bingham.
Thank you, Lanny, for being with us. I will do a roll call quickly to make sure the members in opposition are with us. So Linda Johnson and Steve Edwards.
Hi, good morning, Madam Chair and committee members. I'm here with my wife, Linda, and we are present.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Please bear with us as we start the discussion on this application. We also have James O'Brien and Karen Fullerton O'Brien. Are you with us, James and Karen?
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair. We are here.
Thank you very much, sir. Please stay with us. We will come to you soon. So starting with the application for 154 Bingham Avenue, the application before us is to permit the construction of a rear ground floor addition and a new second floor rear addition to the existing dwelling. And we have before us two variances. One is for the FSI and the other one is for the rear yard soft landscaping for residential buildings. Members of the committee, would you like to have a presentation from the applicant, or do you have any questions for Lanny at this time? No? Lanny, committee members don't have any questions or wouldn't like to have a presentation. Do you have anything to say for your application?
I do have some remarks, Madam Chairman.
Please go ahead.
I just want to say quickly that we have lived in this house for 15 years. It's where we started our family, where our kids have grown up, and we love this neighborhood. But we're now reaching a stage where we have aging parents with health issues, and we're preparing ourselves to become an intergenerational household. As part of that, we're seeking two minor variances. One that will allow us to have an additional space we need within the house, and another to build a garage at the rear of the house. In all of our design planning, we have tried to do our best with consideration for our neighbors and our neighborhood. To that end, we've specifically and deliberately chosen to do renovations that are already common in the neighborhood in terms of their character, style, and size. We're not seeking a variance for overall building length or overall building height. And in consideration of our neighbors, Mr. Edwards and Ms. Johnson, who are speaking later and who showed an interest in the renovation, we've spoken to them at length in the past and made significant changes to our original designs in an effort to find a cooperative solution. Having said that, we are coming to you seeking these two minor variances. In regards to the first variance, we seek the committee's approval to increase the permitted maximum floor space index by 9%. That translates to 19.95 square meters. As illustrated in the plans, we would like to build an addition at the rear on the second floor on top of a pre-existing ground floor addition. The upstairs addition we propose is only 18.19 square meters. And in the back on the ground floor, there is an awkward corner we want to square out. That is 1.76 square meters. I submit that these are not unusual in their size or design for our street and immediate neighborhood. And in fact, in just seconds in Google Maps, you can see many similar examples all around our part of the neighborhood. As just one example, within a block of us starting at 330 Kingswood, there are 4 houses in a row on similar sized lots that have already been renovated over the years to much larger proportions than what it is we are asking for. The second variance that we seek is in regards to the backyard softscaping. We currently have a 12-foot by 12-foot shed that has significant mold issues. Our plan, as seen on page 6, is to remove this shed and replace it with a garage of the same width and 20 feet long, a footprint which is nearly identical to our neighbor's Mr. Edwards' garage. This will allow us to park our car in the garage rather than on the street, which will help to alleviate the street parking issue, which is a big problem in our area. Now, in order to do this, we are asking for a variance to decrease our rear yard softscaping by 14.6% or 10.7 square meters. There was a concern raised in the letter from 164 Bingham in regards to drainage, and in response to this concern, I would point out a few things. First, in circulation, this file was seen by numerous departments, including the Department of Construction and Engineering Services, and none of the departments had any concern regarding drainage and made no notes to that effect. Further, I would add, at the back of the lot, we have permeable pavers, and the deck, which will be even smaller than it is today, has gaps between all of the boards that allows rainwater to reach the soil beneath the deck for drainage. I would also add that there are many houses on the street that have the same setup we are proposing, a shared driveway and 2 garages. In fact, Mr. Edwards' neighbors at 146 and 144 Bingham have a similar setup with same or similar sized lots with barely any softscaping. And in the 15 years that we have lived here, drainage has not been an issue for them or I think their neighbors. I would propose that our request for the softscaping variance is minor at 10 square meters and does not pose a drainage risk, and that it is not uncommon for houses on the street to have a garage like the one we are proposing. More than that, we feel being able to remove a car from street parking is of net benefit to everyone on our street. In conclusion, we are confident that both these minor variances are reasonable requests, that they are appropriate to the neighborhood and maintain the general intent and purpose of the bylaws and the official plan, and therefore meet the 4 requirements for approval. Thank you for your time, Madam Chair and members of the committee.
Thank you, Laney, for your remarks here. Members of the committee, before I move to the neighbors, any questions for Laney? Okay, I see none. Thank you, Laney. Please stay with us. We are going to now speak with Linda Johnson and Steve Edwards. Linda and Steve, are you with us?
Yes, we are.
Please let us know of your concerns on this application.
Okay, good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. I guess I'll be speaking for both myself and Linda this morning. So I'm here to speak in opposition to the application at 154 Bingham to build an addition that would create a 1,900 square foot house I guess just for comparison, our house is 1,100 square feet. The points, I'd like to make a number of points. I guess the main thrust of the point is the diminishing soft landscape. The garage, in addition to the proposed roof slide in the second story of the main floor, is a huge concern to us as it will reduce the soft landscape in the yard to 35%. We feel strongly that this will have a negative impact to our home and will cause issues both to our foundation and possible flooding. As there's going to be limited space for the precipitation to be absorbed on their existing property, resulting in water migrating to our home and property. Also, the second story extension and the large garage will, in our opinion, certainly will obstruct our view of our kitchen and dining room windows negatively, affecting the enjoyment of our home. In our opinion, these variances are not minor. They would set an unhealthy precedent in reducing soft landscaping and welcome further applications for large additions in an already crowded neighborhood with small lots.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you. One thing I would like to say here is that when it comes to drainage matters, those issues are something that we don't have the jurisdiction over. And I'm sure when the application or the permits go through the building department and the right departments, they will certainly make sure that there's no adverse impact on the adjacent properties or the neighboring properties. And on that note, we have a comment from staff.
Through the chair, I can confirm as part of the building permit process, the applicant is required to have a certification from an engineer or qualified grading consultant that all drainage will be self-contained on the property.
Thank you for that confirmation, Colin. Appreciate that. Members of the committee, do you have any questions for Steve or Linda Steve who has just spoken? Okay, I see none. Thank you, Steve, for your time. Your comments have been heard. We will now move to the next neighbor, James O'Brien and Karen Fullerton O'Brien. Are you with us?
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee.
Good morning.
We're the owners of 156 Bingham. It's the adjacent property immediately to the north of the applicant property. And we object to the application for the minor variances on the basis that it fails to meet the four-part test of Section 45 of the Planning Act. In the leading case on the interpretation of Section 45(1) of the Planning Act, Vincent and Dagarius, a 2005 case of the Divisional Court, the court outlined the obligations of the Committee of Adjustments and the OMB on the proper application of the four-part test. It states generally that a request for a minor variance is akin to a special privilege, and the application must demonstrate that the applicants cannot adhere to the zoning bylaw. Applicants must demonstrate more than a personal preference for a variance, and further, as to whether the request is appropriate use of the property, the desire is to be seen from a planning and public interest and not from a private one. Most importantly, a committee must demonstrate that all four parts of the test have been reviewed. And I quote from Justice Cunningham, who says that it must set out whatever is reasonably necessary to demonstrate that it did so. In addition, if any one of the four-part tests fails, the variance should not be granted. With respect to the first part, is the variance minor? The two interpretive aspects outlined in the court to be included in a review of this part of the test include the question of size as well as the question of importance. Both considerations are subsumed in the question of impact on the adjacent properties and impact on the neighborhood in general. By objective standards, the variance requested with respect to the floor space is not minor. The mass, height, and bulk of the proposed development will have enormous impact on sunlight, privacy, and openness of our property. Views will also be impacted. There will be practically a large blank wall overarching approximately 50% of our rear yard. It will be a windowless barrier creating a prison effect. It will, in effect, be 300 square feet of blank wall. Sunlight will also be detrimentally impacted. Sunlight has been a long-established amenity of our property, and it deserves to be protected. It would create a substantial impact of magnitude that should be deemed unacceptable from a planning perspective. In addition, the proposed development will not be in the character of the neighborhood. This is a neighborhood of 1920s built homes. They are small, generally detached, single-family dwellings on small postage stamp lots. The standard size is 25 by 100 feet. Increasing floor space, not including the proposed new garage as an additional structure on the lot by approximately 15%, is a major expansion contextually. With respect to the second requested variance regarding the soft landscaping, the request is not minor. It is an actual increase of 30%. I refer you to drawing A1.0. The bylaw requires 50% of the rear yard consist of soft landscaping. The drawing requested a variance of 35%. This is however, erroneously described in the drawing. At present, there is no existing soft landscaping at all in the rear yard. While it is stated as it existing, the present configuration is paved patio bricks. Soft landscaping is a defined term in the bylaw and excludes, and I quote, hard surfaced areas such as decorative stonework, retaining walls, walkways, and other hard surfaced landscape architectural elements. Accordingly, the variance, if approved, would represent zero soft landscaping on the lot, and this would fail the test. More importantly, this raises serious concerns with respect to drainage, and I understand that you've spoken to this item. However, I refer you to drawing A3.3, where you will see that the finished grade of the lot rises from the front to the back of the property. At the area at which the proposed development would be situated, the rise of the grade is approximately 18 inches above our property for the entire length of the rear yard. With no soft landscaping at all, there will be major rainfall runoff onto our property, which already exists to some extent, but will be further exacerbated by the addition of a pitched roof directed towards our property. Part 2 of the test. Is the proposal
James,
appropriate?
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you're coming to the end of your time, so you have 30 seconds to wrap up.
Well, let me quickly go. Does the variance maintain the general intent and purpose of the official plan? It would appear the official plan is quite restrictive with respect to the addition of minor variances. In fact, the plan says no changes will be made through rezoning, minor variance, consent, or other public action that are out of keeping with the overall physical character of the entire neighborhood. The idea is that the official plan is stating that things with requests with respect to minor variances should be restrictive and not a liberal view, and that it is our contention and our submission that the addition and the renovation and the proposed development is out of character with the neighborhood as such.
Okay, thank you, James. Those were very good remarks. Members of the committee, any question for James? Member Gary.
Sure, it's been a long time since I've read that case. That was a divisional court decision, wasn't it? I don't think it went to Court of Appeal.
Yes, it was.
It was divisional, thank you. Okay.
Yes.
And in the applicant's property, sorry, did you say there are pavers? What I'm thinking about is there some permeable pavers allowing some drainage then on the applicant's property?
Well, there's stone bricks as far as I can see.
Thank you.
That's all, Member
That's
Gary?
all,
Thank you, Gary. Any other questions for James before we move on to the applicant? Okay, I see none. Thank you, James, for your time. We will now move to the applicant, Lanny, to provide a response to the concerns raised. Lanny, are you with us?
Madam Chairperson, this is Christine Holder. I also live at 154 Bingham Avenue, and if it's acceptable to you, I'll respond to the objections.
Are you the applicant's representative or you're the owner, you said?
Oh, this is my wife.
Oh.
It's Lanny and Christine.
Oh, I see. Absolutely. Please go ahead.
Okay. I'll first address the issue of the soft landscaping because I think Mr. O'Brien is not quite as familiar as with our backyard as he believes. They are, in fact, at the back of the property, there are permeable pavers. Underneath our deck, as we discussed, it's soil. So there's soft sandscaping underneath the deck. The deck is going to be shortened as part of the overall backyard plan. And that space that won't be covered by deck will also be soft landscaping. And we'll meet the requirements to ensure adequate drainage. And again, we had no drainage notes from the City of Toronto, who are familiar with what we have. The other issue is obviously the backyard addition. The backyard addition is being built on top of an addition that already exists. It doesn't consume 50% of our backyard or the neighbor's backyard. And again, we're not asking for a length variance or a height variance. So the backyard addition is going to be even with the pre-existing roof line. And again, I just reiterate, there are several backyard additions in the neighborhood that have been completed that are larger and higher than ours. And this may once have been a neighborhood of smaller homes. But these homes they're being renovated. There are additions that are common throughout the neighborhood, and there are houses that are being torn down and rebuilt, that are no longer restricted by the 1953 bylaw, able to exceed the square footage limitations. So for those reasons, I variances and they do meet the objectives of the four tests for approval.
Okay, can I ask you something? 152 Bingham Avenue, that also has an addition at the back. So what I see on your site plan is that your proposed addition would be in line with what 152 Bingham Avenue has right now, correct?
I think that 152 at the back has decking there.
Oh, it's not a build. Okay.
I don't think that's building. I think that's decking
Okay, that's decking.
with an overhang.
I see. Okay. The way it's shown on the site plan, it appears it's a building, but you're right, and that's why I kind of clarified as to what was going on there. Okay, so that portion is part of a deck. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. So in terms of the landscaping and the drainage issue that was raised, you confirm that it's brick pavered right now, and should the committee, I guess, it's all intact and it's all existing, right? There's nothing, okay.
Yes, currently there are permeable pavers and decking with soil beneath, but as was already mentioned, we would go through that process to make sure we can get certified that all drainage is contained on our property.
Yeah, and that's a requirement of approval anyway, so that would be required.
Of course.
Okay, all right. Thank you for that clarification. Members of the committee, please, questions for the applicant.
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. I'm looking at part of this proposal is for a new garage, and obviously that new garage is larger than the shed at the back, and that is taking up some of your landscaping area. Where is, and I also noticed when I was looking at this that you've had to jog your building in order to get access by a car to that new garage. Where does your vehicle park at the moment?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
Hello? Oh, good. Currently, we park on the street. The garage that we are proposing, it actually says existing shed there. That existing shed is actually our neighbor's garage, mislabeled. So we would just be extending forward the same footprint as the current shed, which is 12 foot square.
Okay, let me, I have on this drawing existing shed to be demolished, which is in the same location
No, I'm
as
sorry,
that
that's
garage.
on our neighbor's property line. So that should actually be their existing garage. Our shed, if you look on the outline, there says new garage there in the dashed line, not in the solid black. In there, there is a little square at the back that represents the 12-foot by 12-foot existing shed that we have.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I think I'm reading this correctly, that on your property, you have an existing shed, small, inside the location that you're proposing, the new garage.
That's correct.
That is correct.
And your intent is that the parking of your vehicle on the street would be no longer necessary, and that you would park your car in this new garage. And that's partly using the easements on your neighbor as well as yours to get access to this rear property. And then you've done a kind of a jog of the building in order to get access to the front of your garage. Is that correct?
Yes.
I'm
That is
looking at how you've had to make changes and jog everything to create this.
It looks a little bit more dramatic in the drawing, but there would be an angle to pull into the garage.
Yes, I noticed that. I was more interested in, I guess, the need and use of the garage, which is cutting back into some of the soft landscaping. If the garage wasn't
Yes, we would
there,
like to,
you would have more room for
Thank you.
soft landscaping.
yes, we would like to take a car off of the street if possible.
Okay, thank you. I have, yes, I guess I have one more question. The intent of the enlargement, no, never mind. I'm not going to ask that question. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. Any further questions for Lanny?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Please.
And I'm sorry if I missed this. If the variances are granted, what's the total square footage then of the revised dwelling?
If one looks at the site statistics, the total ground floor area or ground floor index, 180 square meters.
Okay.
So the proposed FSI.
Which is a.
Sorry, go ahead, Lanny.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that.
No, I think I interrupted you. You were completing your sentence. Please go ahead.
Oh, I'm reading here. It's 180 meters squared. It currently is 160, I believe.
Yes. So as per the notice, it's the required is, or the permitted is 160.26, and the proposed is 180.21, which is 20 meters, 20 square meters more. This equates to roughly 2,000 square feet a home altogether.
Yes, Madam Chair, I left my imperial calculator in my briefcase, so I'm sorry. You say that it translated to square footage, it is what?
Approximately 2,000 square feet.
2,000 square feet. Thank you.
Yes, it's the imperial versus the metric. Any more questions for Lanny? Okay. If there are no questions, let's take the matter into the committee. Committee members, any comments, remarks, suggestions before we render the motion? Okay. If there are no remarks or comments, then can I please have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'm strongly influenced by the fact that this proposal does not require any minor variances to side yards, rear yard, front yard, or height. And those aspects are the most significant in my mind to impact. And this proposal has no impact on any of those matters. Then my second consideration that I would apply to a situation like this is the numerical extent of the variances. And, you know, I find that a zoning bylaw that allows an 1,800 square foot house going up to 2,000, in my mind, is minor. And the soft landscaping requirement being less than 11 square meters under zoning is also minor. I have no hesitation to move for approval of this application, subject to nothing, no conditions.
There are no conditions, thank you. And to be precise, 180 square meters equates to 1937 square feet. So it's way less than 2,000 square feet. So, yeah. Thank you. So we have a motion on the floor to approve this application, and there are no conditions. And the reasons for approval were stated. May I have a seconder to this motion? Seconder to this motion? Okay, motion fails. May I have another motion, please? Members of the committee, motion.
Madam Chair, I am struggling with this application because I do recognize what the two neighbors are saying in terms of the impact on them. The items are sufficient the difference from the required in terms of being able to suggest that these are minor variances. Having looked at it, I'm not sure how it could be made in a better situation, which is why I was asking if we remove the garage, it would have an impact on the soft landscaping. If the building itself was not quite as large an enlargement, that too would have an impact on, especially the one neighbor that has got a blank wall for his full length. I would not recommend approval of this application. I think the impact on the size of the proposal and its impact on the adjacent neighbors is too great to be considered a minor variance.
If I can just, Member Macaulay, draw your attention to the fact that if you look at the increase, as Member Taylor pointed out, there's been no request for building length, building depth, building height, no side yard, rear yard, setbacks, variances, nothing. They are all within the zoning limits or the permissions. This is to be precise, this is 19 square meters addition.
I recognize that, Madam Chair.
The soft yard landscaping requirement can be offset by permeable paving, which is already the case. Should the committee approve this, there could be an additional condition made that, well, it's an existing situation anyways, that it be maintained. I'm trying to draw your attention to the 4 tests here.
Yes, I recognize that. That is why I was saying that these numbers are small. But a variance doesn't just deal with a numbers and a percentage.
No.
Variance has to deal with the impact, and specifically on the.
It's actually the 4 tests. So is it minor in nature? Does it meet the intent of the zoning bylaw? Does it meet the intent of the official plan? And is this desirable development?
All right.
I'm just reminding.
I'm putting forth a motion for refusal.
Okay. So
I don't think this application is minor in nature.
Okay. So we have a motion on the floor that the application be refused. May I have a seconder to this motion? Member Said seconds the motion. All in favor of this motion? All opposed? For record. You're abstaining. In that case, what would we do? So if I vote, it's going to put a tie, right? Because he's abstaining. So the motion on the floor to refuse the application, we had a seconder, and nobody voted in favor. Then I asked for all against, and we had Member Taylor against. Member Gary has abstained from a vote. Do I have the right to vote? Okay. So I oppose the motion, and in this case, the motion fails, although it's a tie. Yes, please. I've never had this situation before.
Yes, I believe when your motion, our motion was negative.
Yes. So
Your motion was to approve,
oppose the motion.
was to oppose the motion, but not to approve the application.
No.
I'm asking for clarification here.
So we voted. So you put the motion forward. Member Said seconded the motion. And then all against, all in favor, there were none in favor. All opposed, there were 2 in opposition.
Through the chair, can I suggest we take a 5-minute break?
Please.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's important. Thank you. So for those of you listening in, we are going to take a 5-minute break to confirm or clarify the voting on this matter. Thank you. but we'll have to resume the meeting first. Do we have to do this in public or?
Yeah.
Okay, so members of public and applicants, thank you for your patience. We were in the process of getting clarification from city staff with regards to the matter that we were dealing with before the break, which was to deal with the situation of voting on item number 5. So we are resuming the meeting now. And the advice that we have received from staff is that we will start fresh with the voting on this item. And on that note, I would like the members of the committee to put forward a motion on this application.
Madam Chair, I was strongly influenced with respect to this application due to the fact that, in my mind, the major areas for consideration of impact, which is very important, have to do with principally and primarily, in my mind, side yards, front yards, rear yards, and height. And none of those impact areas require variances with respect to this proposal. Secondly, I'm influenced by the numerical calculations. The proposed house is less than 20 square meters larger than permitted by zoning, and the soft landscaping variance is only less than 11 square meters less than zoning. So all in all, I'm satisfied that the variances are minor and that the other three tests under the Planning Act are met. And my motion is to approve the application without conditions.
So we have a motion on the floor to approve the application, and there are no conditions. May I have a seconder, please?
Madam Chair, I will second that approval.
All in favor of this motion? All opposed? I break the tie, so I'm in favor of this motion. The motion is carried. The application for 154 Bingham Avenue has been approved. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, members of the committee.
Okay, thank you for your patience. We needed some direction from staff, and then based on that, we proceeded. Thank you for your time. We now move to the next item that was held, and that is item number 6, 89 Bastedo Avenue. 89 Bastedo Avenue. We have with us listed Lynn Huston as the applicant and the agent. Lynn, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here. Good morning.
Good morning, Lynn. Thank you. It's good afternoon. Time flies.
Is it? Wow.
That's okay. That's okay. And then we also have, I'm doing a roll call for the neighbor who is registered to speak in opposition, and that is Diane Chiang. Are you with us, Diane? Diane? Diane, are you with us?
Through the chair, Diane was with us. It appears that maybe she's having technical difficulties.
Okay. Can we hold this down and come back? Oh, she's there? She's there? Okay. Diane, are you there with us? Diane Chiang, are you with us? Could you unmute yourself if you have by accidentally muted yourself? Please unmute. You lost her again? Okay. Diane, we can see you here as online, but we can't hear you. Is it Diane or Deanne? Diane. Diane Chiang. And Diane was speaking on behalf of Lai Yang Chiang and Yoon Kyun Chung.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can
Hello,
hear.
can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Thank
Hi.
you. Hi.
Sorry about that. Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My
Good.
name is Diane Chung, and I'm the daughter of Lai Chung and Yukun Chung.
Perfect. Thank you, Diane. Please stay with us. We are going to start the discussion on this application, and we'll get to you when it's your turn. Thank you. Please stay tuned. So members of the committee, do you have any questions for Lynn, or would you like to have a presentation on this item? Staff did clarify this morning with us that the notice had an issue in terms of the two requested variances, and they confirmed that variance number 1 is actually 0.76 times of the lot area that's being requested, and variance number 2 is not required. It was a technical glitch on this notice. This does not require a new notice because it is not worsening the variances. It's actually a reduction in the variance. The applicant is aware, and I believe the neighbor was also aware of this discrepancy in the notice. On that note, I am going to turn over to Lynn Huston. Lynn? The committee does not have any questions for you. Do you have any remarks to say at this time?
At the moment, just that this is a fairly common variance in this area. We're looking for more area for a growing and multi-generational home. And I do know that the homeowners have been in conversation with the other presenter and are prepared to make some concessions. Specifically, the removal of a tree in the backyard.
Okay, but that has nothing to do with the variance itself, correct?
No.
Okay.
The variance itself is removable.
So can you confirm, Lynn, the variance that is before us is to permit the proposed maximum floor space index to 0.76 times the area of the lot?
Yes.
And how much does that equate to? What is the current FSI and what is being proposed in terms of square meters?
The current FSI, let me just make sure I'm reading it properly, is 0.55.
So 0.55, and that equates to how much in square meters?
That is 92.16 meters squared.
So 92.16 square meters, and what's being proposed is 0.76, and that is equal to how many square meters?
133.27.
133.27, perfect. Okay, thank you very much. Any questions for Lynn before we move on to the neighbor? Okay, I see none. Thank you. Sure. Can you please put your microphone on?
Sorry, Madam Chair, would you give me the existing, I've got an FSI of 0.55 SSI. I didn't have the square meters.
No problem. So it is 92.16 square meters. So I'm going to repeat. The current FSI is 0.55, which is equal to 92.16 square meters. What's being requested for or proposed is 0.76, which is equal to 133.27 square meters.
Madam Chair, is it 0.76 or 0.78?
0.76.
76?
Yes. The correct one. So not the one on the notice. There was some discrepancy there. The correct one is 0.76, which is less than 0.78, and that is equal to 133.27 square meters.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. If no questions for Lynn, we are going to move on to speaking with the neighbor. And Diane, are you with us?
Hello?
Yes, Diane.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi. So let me just go through my notes really quickly, so I'll just read through them. Okay, so Laying Chung and Yukun Chung, they both own the home at 87 Bastedo Avenue for the past 35 years. Currently, my mom and my brother reside at 87 Bastedo Avenue. I'm speaking on my parents' behalf due to a language barrier. They both have communicated to me to their concerns regarding the construction that would take place at 89 Bastedo Avenue. Here are their objections. Lack of sun exposure after the construction of the second-story addition in their back exterior of their home and the backyard. Yes, they have reviewed the sun exposure study. This isn't regarding shadows, but the lack of sun that they won't have after the construction. The view and the sun exposure from their kitchen window in the back of their house will also be changed due to the new extension length and setback. The kitchen is already very dim due to the trees in the neighbor's yard and fencing. I've talked to the owners of 89 Bastedo Avenue regarding these matters. They have agreed to remove the backyard tulip tree with city approval to provide sun exposure back into my parents' house and exterior. To satisfy my parents' request, they would like some kind of warrant that this tree will be removed that's legally binding. My mom is a permanent resident at 87 Bastedo Avenue, and due to the COVID-19 pandemic, she has lost a lot of her social enjoyment. She spends most of her time at home alone. She just asked that she gets to keep her enjoyment with her home. That includes access to an interior sun exposure of for herself and her indoor plants. The joy of growing her own produce in the spring and summer months in the backyard and front yard. The feng shui is important to both my parents. Anything that is blocking or causing obstruction can reduce the good energy flow into their home. They both understand that the owners of 89 Bastedo Avenue are trying to gain an additional bathroom/master bedroom on the second story addition, a family room, powder room in the open concept kitchen on the main floor, an additional bedroom in the basement apartment/in-law suite. My parents' request again is to see changes made to the landscaping and changes made to the setback of the extension to keep the sun exposure for their interior of their home and backyard and the view through the kitchen back window. Thank you for listening to my parents' request today.
Okay, thank you, Diane. I just want to make a clarification on one thing here. The application for the variance that is before us is not for any variance to the building length, the building depth, or any reductions in side yard setback. They are within the permissions of the zoning bylaw to allow them to expand to that building length or depth that they're proposing, which is similar to the zoning permissions that you have on your property. What's being requested is this additional floor space, right? That's what the bulk is. So let's say in a situation where it didn't require, if they had come in for an extension to their building length or depth, yes, we would have had a case, to speak about, obstruction of sunlight or privacy. But here they're within their zoning rights to build the way they are building. So what I'm trying to get to it is, is your concern now that the variance is clear, it's only for the FSI, is your concern for the FSI, the increase in the GFA that's being asked for? Because none of the concerns, or a few of the concerns that you listed, had nothing to do with the variance that's being requested.
I'm just going with my parents' request.
Okay.
So they just don't want to lose sun exposure. That's their whole motion about this for me to come forward. I'm just speaking on their behalf. They understand what's getting built. They just want to see some kind of implementation being put in place so that their sun exposure is guaranteed to not be jeopardized with this construction. They understand that this extension is going to go far back to where past their kitchen window, and that's something I guess they're going to have to live with at this point. So if you see in that picture right there, that the kitchen window actually ends. If you go back to the first page, actually, right here, right where the kitchen window is where the indent, where the addition actually starts.
Yes.
So that's where they're going to be seeing a wall come forward. They won't be actually seeing a view. And after that is the deck, but then they also have a garage. Now, right through this whole space is a thick fence. They're now losing, if the tree is gone, great, the sun will still come through, but talking about the sun exposure, they're going to lose that sun exposure going into their kitchen window because this house length is now obstructing their view of the lighting that should be going into their house. It's already pretty dim. So now that's going to be a really dark room that they're going to be having.
Okay.
And that's mean that they're going to have to be turning lights on during the day, which is not ideal for them.
Okay, thank you, Diane. That helps. Appreciate that. Members of the committee, any questions for Diane? Yes, Member Macaulay? No? Okay. There are no questions for you, Diane. Thank you for your time and speaking with us today. I don't see there's anybody else listed, so we will now go back to Lynn Huston. Lynn is the applicant. Lynn, are you there?
I am here.
Okay, perfect. So Lynn, you heard the neighbor concerned about lack of sunlight, and they also had some concerns about the views. How would you respond to those concerns?
I would like to clarify that while she was speaking, you were hovering the pointer to the north property. This neighbor is actually the neighbor to the south, the unattached neighbor to the south.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, and we have agreed to remove the tree in the backyard, given permissions, of course.
So it was 87. Okay, you're right. It's to the south. Okay.
Yeah, so the sun impact is very different than the one to the north. Yes.
Okay, so if you can go to Colin, I think it's the same one, A3. Are you on A3? Okay, perfect. Okay. Yeah, if you zoom in into that area, the proposed two-story addition, and how it sort of interfaces with the existing house on 87. Okay, thank you for identifying that. Now, how would you like to respond, Lynn?
The neighbors have been, these homeowners have been there for at least 13 years. They planted that tree in the back. We're very interested in making accommodations as we can.
Okay.
But beyond removing the tree, that's the only agreement that I'm aware of at the moment. But I do know that they have, the neighbors and the homeowners have been in discussion.
Okay, so the tree is being removed, just confirming?
Yes.
Okay.
They're quite prepared to agree to that.
Okay, so the homeowners for 89 are prepared to remove the tree, which is an arrangement,
Yes.
I believe, between the two homeowners. That's a separate arrangement. Unfortunately,
yes.
yeah, we won't be able to deal with this, but I'm just for record confirming that arrangement has been discussed with the two homeowners. Member Macaulay.
A question to staff. When the building permit comes forward, there isn't any comments from urban forestry because there was not going to be any changes to the tree canopy. Would this application at building permit stage identify that they cannot take down that tree?
Through the chair, any requests for tree removal would be a separate process outside of the building permit process. So it would not, the building permit would not identify a tree removal. And as you know, urban forestry has not commented on it because that request was not, first of all, urban forestry did not recommend any conditions. So there's a separate process that will be.
Yeah. So should the homeowner for 89 look into removing that tree as agreed between the neighbors, they'll have to talk to urban forestry and the arrangements will have to be made or approvals will have to be obtained. But what we have today is we're only talking about the variance. We are not dealing with the tree at this time. So anything else for Lynn at this time, Mr. Taylor?
Yeah, Lynn, I'm just struggling with the FSI calculations that we were going through several minutes ago. In the notice we have, it has an FSI of 0.78, which in your case would equate to 180.21 square meters.
No.
Now I understand the FSI has been reduced to 0.76. And you said that equates to a building of 133.87 square meters. I can't see how reducing the FSI by 2% results in such a dramatic decrease in the actual square meters.
Okay, sorry, Taylor. Clarification from staff here.
Through the chair, there was an error when we sent out the notices. These requested variances are actually it was a clerical error. These requested variances are actually from item 5, which is 154 Bingham, which is a totally different lot area. So that's the reason why the calculations don't jive. The actual.
So is it the fact in this case, 89 Bastedo Avenue, the proposed building is 133.87 square meters?
Correct. Let's pull out the zoning
Yes, I'm gonna
certificate. Okay. And if you can pull it up on the screen.
Yes.
I can send it to you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Let me send it to you right away.
Okay, yeah, so, yeah.
Oh, okay. To Colin, to your right, your address. Okay. Okay, sent. Can you pull it up on the screen if you don't mind? Thank you. So this is the correct zoning notice that Colin's going to pull up on the screen. So you can disregard the one that's in the package.
So through the chair, this is the zoning notice on which the variance is based on. You'll see that the proposed floor index is 0.76 times the area of the lot, which equates to 133.27 square meters.
Yeah.
And Madam Chair, through you, if I may.
Yes, please.
Colin, could you tell us then what the permitted maximum FSI for buildings erected prior to October 15th, 1953 is for this lot?
Through the chair, based on the zoning notice, the permitted FSI currently is 0.69 times the area of the lot, which equates to 121.74 square meters. So it's a net increase of, give or take, a little bit less, little less than 12 square meters.
Yeah, 11 point something.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay. I'm glad you pointed that out because we got some different numbers for the existing FSI. So the zoning notice actually has the accurate one. So we'll go with the zoning notice. Okay, so any further questions on this? Any clarification? Okay, if there are no questions, let's take the matter into committee. And committee members, any comments, any remarks, or are you ready for a motion? Mr. Taylor, please go ahead.
Do you want to move, Mohammed? Okay.
Okay.
Okay, firstly, I'm quite content that the actual variance requested here is less dramatic than set out in the notice. So I'm not concerned about an inaccurate notice. Secondly, I'm satisfied that the impact of this proposal related to width, height, front yard setback, rear yard setback, side yards is not impacted. Thirdly, I'm satisfied that a house 11 odd square meters larger than the zoning bylaw permits is minor. And thirdly, I would point out that a proposed house to the north of an adjacent building will have no impact whatsoever on sunlight exposure. So all in all, I'm satisfied that the proposal meets the 4 tests under the Planning Act, and I move approval unconditionally.
May I have a seconder, please? Member Said seconds the motion. All in favor of this motion? Motion is carried. The application for 89 Bastedo Avenue has been approved, and there are no conditions.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, everyone. Okay, we now move to the next item that was held, and that is item number 7 for 39 Scarboro Beach Boulevard. And we have with us the applicant, Barry Goldman. Barry, are you with us?
I am here. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you for your patience. Members of the committee, I know Member McCauley, you had some additional comments or questions.
Madam Chair, if I may, just before we begin that, I failed to mention initially, we have letters of support. They're on file from the adjacent neighbors at 35, 37, and 41 Scarboro Beach.
Okay, what I see here in our files is one letter of opposition.
Unfortunately, we were not able to get those letters in time to have them included in your file, but they were sent into the committee, so they are on record.
So they're probably in the AIC, probably? Okay, all right. Thank you very much for clarifying that. And Member McCauley, please go ahead. You had some questions. Could you please, can you please unmute yourself?
Needs to remember to put the machine on too. If you,
well, how would you like to? Do you want to plan up on this?
yes, I remember. I'm trying to go back through the discussion. The discussion was that we have two existing dwellings in this at 39 Scarborough Beach Boulevard, neither of which have parking on site.
Correct.
Secondly, the proposal is to allow 2 additional units, so we have a total of 4 units.
Correct.
In that building, and the request is that there not be any parking required for those 2 additional ones as well.
That's correct.
I think that's where we're at. I looked at this, was confused as to whether we had 3 dwelling units or 4. I also took a good look at the size of the new units being proposed. Both of the size of the 2 new units being proposed are modest.
Mm-hmm.
We've dealt with a couple of other applications where we've got modest units, and we have, I know, approved parking reductions because with modest units, the likelihood of the people having a car is less. Also, in this case, they would know that that is the size of the unit that they are moving into and that there is no parking. I guess my last question to the applicant is the 2 existing units. They're both 3-bedroom units, both fairly reasonable in size.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would expect that the inhabitants of that would have parking. Do you know if they have parking permits on the street?
I believe the owner who does live in the building has a street parking permit. I'm unaware of the status of the other unit. I don't believe they own a car, but I can't say that with certainty.
Okay, thank you. All right. We have an objector up the street based on this whole issue of lack of parking, which is a characteristic of this area. My feeling is that we've got 2 small units that are being proposed, that there is a desire for more affordable units. There is a desire for more units in the particular area, certainly in Toronto as a whole, but even in this area. And that the lack of parking, in balancing the lack of parking versus the provision of 2 additional smaller units, I would say I would think in that balance that I would recommend approval of the smaller units without the requirement for additional parking. I'm putting that forward at the moment as a statement, allowing others to comment.
Thank you, Member McCauley. Other members, any comments, questions, remarks?
I'll just throw something in, and again, I'm not tabling a motion, but just for us to ponder. Barry, I'm from Etobicoke, so I've crossed the border this morning to participate in this hearing, but We've run into situations like this in southern Etobicoke, Long Branch area. Small lots, no parking, limited parking. And we have, in the past, approved applications like this, subject to the inclusion of a clause in all future offers to lease that specifies that the lease agreement does not include parking space. Would you be agreeable to such a condition?
I don't see why that wouldn't work, because currently there is no parking on the property, so the
Right.
lease wouldn't be able to legally provide it. I guess my concern is if the reason why that there's no parking in the rear is because of a reciprocal right of way. And I guess I'm a little concerned about encumbering the property in the future should that right of way cease to exist. At that point, legal parking in the rear could be possible. So I'm a little hesitant to suggest that that should be put into a lease. But again, there is no parking on the property. A lease would not offer something that's not there.
Can I ask a question? How do you enforce that?
I was afraid you were going to ask that, Madam Chair. I don't really know, and I was thinking about, Mr. Goldman or whomever could sell this building next week, and then, so is it applicable to all heirs, assigns, and successors? To be honest, I don't think we thought that through very well.
Okay. My only concern is that let's say the variance is granted. Hypothetically speaking, the variance is granted, off they go. They're not coming back they probably come back for a permit for, interior fit ups or maybe fire code, whatever. They're not checking the lease agreements, or maybe the lease agreements are not even there at that time. The permits get issued because this is certainly not I don't see a CBO holding a permit to verify if it's included in the lease, right? So off the permit goes.
Yeah.
We have no ability to really enforce it. I'm just thinking of the logistics of it, right?
Good point. And I think it's kind of it's a caveat emptor situation, whether you language it or not. People know the area, they know the situation.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be printed out.
Yeah. But I do see your point. Anybody moving in should know that there's no parking available.
I would, through the chair, I would tend to agree with you that it's not an enforceable condition, and it's something the committee needs to be aware of.
All right. But that was a good conversation, I think, for our future discussions as well, to keep that in mind.
Madam Chair, can I ask a question of the applicant again?
Sure.
And this is, if he knows, this is the applicant, not the owner that we have here, right?
We have the applicant, yes.
Yeah. The consent application that was granted several years ago to create these said that there would be one parking space provided. And I assume that's for number 41. Is the applicant aware of a parking space on that property?
I'm aware that you can physically park a car. I am reading that the C of A decision provided 0 parking spaces, and we did not draw a parking space on the rear. It may be the case that I was mistaken. The zoning examiner, when you reviewed our proposal, did not show a parking space.
No, it's fairly clear that only one of these two dwellings in the consent application required a parking space and the other one didn't. And I didn't know whether the parking space was actually provided or not.
But that's
It's
not,
another matter. It's it's really just a
I
question,
believe the
is there a parking on
space
the
would
north?
have been provided at 41,
Yes.
which is the other half of the semi. I think
Yeah.
that's the confusion. And again, so it's a semi-detached building, 39 and 41 Scarborough Beach. This consent application you have here was to split it into two buildings. 41 was able to provide parking, I believe, because they don't have the reciprocal right of way. I'm guessing, I don't really know why, but I don't believe 39. Again, physically, you are able to park a car behind the building, but because there is that reciprocal right of way with 37, you can't fit a legal parking spot in the rear.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much for that clarification.
All right, thank you very much for that. Members of committee, if there are no further questions or comments, can you please take the matter into committee and work on a motion? Member Macaulay?
Okay, Madam Chair, I recommend approval of this application. What I am doing is I am weighing the greater good of additional housing versus the need to provide a parking space and how this impacts the general area. The minor variance is really no parking space, so it's a zero, which is often a concern in trying to deal with how can it be considered minor when it is nothing. But in this case, I believe the other parts of the variance address the issues of, is it minor, is it appropriate, does it meet the intent of the official plan, does it meet the intent of the zoning bylaw?
Okay. So it meets the four tests?
It meets the four tests.
Okay. So is that a motion?
That's a motion to recommend approval.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to recommend approval. May I have a seconder?
I'll second, Madam Chair.
We have a seconder. All in favor of this motion? All opposed. So we have one member in opposition. The motion carries and the application is approved. Thank you very much, Barry, for your patience.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we now move to item number 8. And item number 8 is 77 Wembley Drive. And this is an application to alter an existing 2.5-story semi-detached dwelling by repairing the existing non-conforming rear main level deck. And we have before us, and the structure will maintain the original footprint. We have before us two variances regarding the platform located at or below the level of the first story, and there is a reduction in the setback from the shoreline that's being requested. We have with us Chris Marchese. Chris, are you online with us?
Yes, I'm here. Thanks, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. And Colin Claxton, the neighbor's representative. Are you with us, Colin?
Yes, I am.
Thank you very much. Please wait for us while we start the discussion. So members of the committee, any questions for Chris at this time, or would you like to have a presentation? Member Said.
Thank you, Chris. Very short question. Are you aware of that the TRCA permit that was issued 2 years before has been expired and you need fresh permit?
Through you, Madam Chair, thanks for the question. We've been in constant conversation with TRCA since then, and they've issued a positive staff report saying that they've reviewed everything and they have no issue with the variances. So I am aware of what you're saying, but at the same time, we have dealt with TRCA and they are not opposing the variances that are in front of you here today.
Okay, thank you. We're good, Member Mohammed? Okay. All right. Any more questions for Chris? Okay, just on for record, we have letters of support, 3 letters of support, and we have 1 letter of opposition. We have the Ravine and Natural Protection forestry memo, there are no conditions. TRCA memo we discussed. Okay. Before we move on, Chris, are there any remarks or comments at this time before I move on to speaking with Colin?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. I just want to state that the existing deck, this is not really an after-the-fact application. A permit was issued for the deck. Upon the construction of the helicals for the structural reasonings, the city was asked to come back to review it. And through the communication of issuing that permit, they thought that there was zoning clearance, but there wasn't. So once the helical piles were put into place, and then they did the review and the inspection, they actually revoked it just due to the fact that we need these two variances that are here today. So although it is existing, the construction that was done as of date was while a permit was issued. Once the permit was revoked, we started this process right away, and that is why we are in front of you here today.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you for your comments, Chris. We now move to Colin. Colin Claxton is the neighbor's representative who would like to speak on this application. Please go ahead, Colin.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair and committee members. My name is Colin Claxton of Colin Claxton and Associates, and I have been working with Chris and Sandy Prosser for the past 11 years, obtaining various permits through both the City of Toronto building as well as TRCA for their property, which is attached to the 77 Wembley. I have more of a question to start. We have a notice of application that says that this hearing is dealing with 2 decks. I'll read from the purpose of the application: to alter the existing 2.5-story semi-detached dwelling by repairing and replacing the existing non-conforming rear main level and rear second-story decks. Both structures will maintain the original footprint. So I'll start by saying that our opposition is to both decks, not just the main level deck.
Okay, so
the main level.
Sorry, Colin.
Sorry, I'll let you answer.
Colin, sorry to interject here, but before you go on, let's get some clarification from staff. The committee has the notice before us that only speaks to the existing non-conforming rear main level deck, and that the structure will maintain the original footprint. I'm not sure. So could you give me a minute to confirm with staff?
Through the chair, that is correct, and I can pull up the public notice as well.
Okay. What's the date on your notice, Colin?
It's November 2nd.
We also have a November 2nd.
It says mailed on or before Monday, November 2nd.
That's correct.
Meeting date and time, November 12th.
We have the same one. The date is the correct, but I'm going to read it again. To alter the existing 2.5-story semi-detached dwelling by repairing the existing non-conforming rear main level deck. The structure will maintain the original footprint. That's what we have on our notice.
Through the chair, I'm going to share my screen here.
Okay. Not for this one. Yeah, that's the notice that I have. Do you guys have this notice? Can all members confirm that this is the notice that we have, which is being shared on the screen? Member McCauley? Yeah, but the wording is the same, so I'm not sure what Colin has.
Through the chair, I've been advised, and the owner can clarify this, that it was 2 decks, and the owner requested a revision. But can I ask that we confirm that with the owner?
Okay,
Yeah.
so,
And I know, understanding that that Mr. Sexton does have the floor, if that's, just to clarify this.
so before we do that, were 2 notices issued on the same date?
No, just one notice.
Okay, so if we can have Chris online. Chris, could you?
Hi, madam. Yes, sorry, I should have clarified this before. The reasoning for this is because once we saw the public notice, we knew that that was an error in including the upper floor deck. We've got zoning clearance that the upper deck does not have any variances associated to the application. That has a separate building permit, has nothing to do with the application here in front of you today. The reason that we saw that on the public notice and why Colin says that is because they told us that there was not enough time to reissue and send out new public notices, but the public notice that the committee had and the sign that was posted on the public notice sign indicated that it was just for the main floor deck. And I just want to reiterate that we have zoning confirmation and staff confirmation that we are here today for the main floor deck only, and these 2 variances are for that only. The upper deck has no associated variances with it, and a building permit is in the process of being issued. Thank you.
So what this tells me is that it appears to me that 2 notices were issued, one with the 2 decks, and then it was revised and reissued because clearly Mr. Claxton received the first notice, whereas we have received the revised notice. So, but we have confirmation that the zoning has cleared, that it's only for 1 deck.
In terms, yes, the what is before you is for the main deck.
Okay. So regardless of what was issued, what we have today is what the committee is looking at, and it is only the rear main level deck. Okay? So, okay,
If you can give me one moment, I'm just confirming that with staff.
sure. So just bear with us, Chris and Colin, we're just getting some confirmation from staff.
So I have confirmed with staff that there was only one notice that's issued, and that notice is the one that's before you in the agenda, that's included in the agenda package. The application actually was improved.
Okay,
Yeah.
definitely. Okay. So we have confirmation from staff that the notice that is up on the screen and the notice that committee has received and was issued is the one that's on the screen, which is dated November 2nd, and it only has 1 deck on it and the associated variances. So now to Mr. Claxton.
Yes, okay, thank you. So their main objection to the lower deck is that it is excessive in length and not at all in keeping with the character of the adjacent properties up and down that stretch of the ravine. Specific to 75 Wembley, the attached house immediately to the south, the deck extends 12 feet past any of their structures, and it presents problems in terms of the ability of 77 Wembley to look down and into the house of 75 Wembley. And I would like to bring the second floor deck into this discussion, as that's what we thought we were coming to speak to, because there are also sightline issues specific to that deck.
But
So,
Mr. Claxton, I would like to clarify that we won't be able to help you with that because that's not before us today.
Okay.
There are no variances related to that upper deck on the notice that we have, which is, I believe, the official notice, correct? And also confirmed by the zoning notice. It's only for the rear main level deck.
okay, that's fine, but if what we would like to try to negotiate is to get privacy screens on both decks as any semblance of a concession to allowing the main floor deck to remain.
Okay. Okay, I hear you. Okay. So what I gathered from you is the location. So we're only talking about the main level deck here. What I gather is the location of the deck, and there's some concerns with that. And Chris probably has made notes on that. We will come to it. And you're also suggesting privacy screens for both the decks, but that's something that we'll have to talk to the applicant about. Is there anything else you would like to add?
Well, just that specific to the privacy screens, that they be sufficiently high. We would say a minimum of 1.5 meters, and be for the full length of the deck.
And what side would that be?
That's the south side of their deck.
South side of their deck. Okay. All right. So south side of deck.
Which is immediately adjacent to my client's residence.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Members of committee, any questions, please? We have a question for you. Just bear with us.
Yes. Colin. Hello?
Yes.
I'm just looking at a photo of this deck looking south towards 75 Wembley Drive. There appears to be a 1.5 meter, give or take, privacy screen in existence. Are you aware of that?
I don't believe that is on the 77 Wembley property. I think that is a fence screen that is on 75 property.
This is a view from 77 Wembley looking south towards 75.
Sorry, I don't have that picture.
Can we pull it up? Yeah. Okay.
Again, that screen is on 75 Wembley's side. We would like to see 77 put an opaque screen in on their property.
Okay.
On their house.
That's on 75. It's so close. It's very close.
Ah, yes. Now I see.
Right? Yeah.
And what you see in that is over the years, because this has been, 75 have taken steps to try to protect their view, but they also, in light of the Committee of Adjustment application, they would like to ensure that an opaque fence or screening is installed.
Okay. So that's that side, right? We're looking at right at the end. Colin, can you just identify the side? That's the side, right? The rail that you see at the end.
So yes, so there we go right here.
That's 75.
Yes, this is 77 right here.
Okay. And the screen that is being suggested is along that rail. Okay, perfect. Okay, it's very close. Okay. Any further questions, Mr. Taylor?
Yeah, Madam Chair, through you, may I ask staff if we approve this with a condition for a 1.5 meter high opaque screen, would that be sufficient to enable the building department to interpret it for the actual details of material? And how detailed and elaborate do we have to be to ensure that Colin gets what he wants?
So through the chair, because the committee is imposing this, there's thinking about imposing this condition, it's not going to be reviewed by be reviewed by community planning staff. So you are absolutely correct. You'll need to be very prescriptive in terms of what you would like to see. So it could be like you're gonna have to list the height. If it's set out the height, you could set out it's opaque, and I think that's really clear in terms of meeting the intent. And I think you would need to say that along which side you want to see it on, right? Yeah. And the other thing I would suggest to the committee is that the conditions should be imposed based on the variances that are in front of you today, and that have a direct relationship to the variances in terms of impact. I'll just leave you with that. Just in terms of you've got, so there is a ground floor deck that's currently before you.
Yeah.
Today.
Yeah. So that's a good point. I mean, it's up to the applicant to agree to the other one. That's between the two parties. But what we can tie any condition to is the deck that's before us, which is the ground level deck, which is this deck right there. What happens on the upper deck? That's between the two parties. Member Macaulay.
Yes, you've kind of gone partway through there. The drawing that we're seeing, I believe that's the upper deck. And then we had a further one that showed both the upper and the lower deck.
This is the lower. Right?
I think this is the upper.
Can the applicant confirm?
Go down one more. We had 4 drawings there and there. You see, there's an upper deck with screening, and then there is presumably a lower deck with screening at the neighbor's property. And we're dealing with the lower deck, we're not dealing with the upper deck.
Correct.
So we can ask for screening on the lower deck, but whether you get screening on the upper deck is up to the willingness of the applicant.
Yeah, that's what we just said. That's between the two parties to agree to or disagree with. But what we can deal with is any condition tied to the lower level deck that's before us today. Okay. Any further questions for Colin before we move on to Chris? Okay, I see none. Thank you, Mr. Claxton, for sorry. Oh, there is a question.
Just to be clear, in the event that someone wants to include a motion that addresses this screen issue, to be clear, it would be on the south side of the lower deck, correct?
Correct.
It should be, I think they were asking for the south side to the entire length of the deck.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Anybody else? I've seen it. Yeah, that's why I'm going to the applicant. So now we are going to go to the applicant. Chris?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So Chris, you heard the concerns. There was a discussion about a privacy screen on the lower deck along the south side. What are your thoughts on that?
So I just want to clarify, I heard one of the committee members saying that we're looking at the upper deck. These pictures are the lower deck that are in conversation. That's first and foremost. The pictures are for the lower deck. And like the committee said, we're not here for the upper deck. But the pictures you're looking at, this is considered to be the lower deck on the property. This is the one that we are here in conversation with today.
Okay.
I just want to rebut a couple of Colin's comments. Colin, thanks for those comments. He said that it's not consistent with the street. But if you look along the street line, you have 81 Wembley, 83 Wembley where Colin actually resides, 85 Wembley, and then you have a couple other properties backing onto the ravine that have a detached garage. And if you look at photo number 2, that's actually higher, not see-through. That would have probably a larger impact on 75 and 83 compared to what's being proposed today. The length isn't an excessive amount. We're talking 0.8 meters. As to what's permitted off the rear main wall, we're proposing 3.3. Excuse me. The as of right is 2.5. In terms of the opaque privacy screen, just to make it easier, because we also were aware of the letter from 83 Wembley, we are satisfied with adding a condition that we will add a 1.5 meter opaque privacy screen to the lower deck on both the north and south sides, running from the length of the entire railing. That should satisfy any concerns in terms of privacy. And then in terms of a clear sight line from the lower deck into 75 Wembley, although full disclosure that the existing privacy screen is on 75, that is there to prevent any sight lines into them, and they have been valuable, but we have no problem with adding a 1.5 meter opaque privacy screen on the property of 77 Wembley. I think that answers all his questions and concerns. Committee, like I said, we will add that privacy screen on both sides, and I will be happy to answer any other questions at this point. But other than that, I'm of the opinion that these two variances meet the four tests under Section 45(1) of the Planning Act. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chris. Committee members, so we have now confirmation that this is for the main lower deck, and the photos are from the lower deck. The applicant is amenable to including a 1.5 meter high opaque privacy fence along the south, along the full length of the south side of the deck and north on both sides, and he has expressed his confirmation on that as well. On that note, I believe we've had a good deliberation on this item. Can we take this matter into committee? If any remarks, please let us know if we're ready for a motion. Colin, just a question for you. I think, and I'm going back to say, thinking in my memory, typically when we get conditions like this from community planning, it's pretty much what we just discussed, right? A 1.5 meter tall opaque privacy fence, right?
That's correct. That's correct.
So I think we've covered all the bases, yeah.
And we understand, staff understand the intent, so we will ensure that that condition is properly worded. For both the north side and south side, 1.5 meter opaque fence along the entire north and south side of the main floor lower deck only.
Perfect. So ditto. And now committee members.
Madam Chair, on this one, I'm strongly influenced by the fact that the deck has TRCA approval. I think that agency is paramount in considerations of structures like this.
Agree.
I'm satisfied that the variance is minor in nature and meets the other three tests under the Planning Act. And I move approval subject to the addition of 1.5 meter tall opaque privacy screens along the south and north sides of the deck.
For the lower deck.
For the lower deck, which is the only matter before us.
Thank you for that. May I have a seconder to this motion? Member McCauley seconds the motion. All in favor? Motion's carried. The application for 77 Wembley Drive has been approved, subject to the condition as stated. Thank you.
Thank you very much, committee. Have a great day.
Good day. Okay, and we now move to our last item? No, second last item. 12, sorry? So this is item number 14. And item number 14 is 1260 Broadview Avenue. All right, so 1260 Broadview Avenue, the application before us is to construct a new detached garage at the rear of the existing two-story detached dwelling. And what we have before us are 4 variances related to the lot coverage of the building, then the lot coverage of ancillary buildings, the maximum total floor area of ancillary buildings, as well as the minimum rear yard setback for the ancillary building. We have with us registered Bill Ross. Bill, are you with us? Bill is the owner's representative.
Yes, Madam Chair, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you very well. Thank you. Just bear with us. I will confirm we have Matthew Clare as a registered speaker.
Through the chair, Matthew Clare has not signed in at all today.
Okay, thank you. And then we had Michelle Bittel. Michelle Bittel.
Michelle Biddle. I'm here, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I apologize for the mispronunciation here. So Michelle is with us as well. Please wait and let us get started with the discussion here. So members of the committee, we have Bill here. Any questions for Bill at this time, or would you like to have a presentation from Bill? No? Okay. So Bill, any remarks or comments at this time?
At this time, I would just say that it's a very large lot and we're looking for a good sized garage in the back.
Okay.
And that's basically it.
Okay. Thank you very much. For record, we do have a letter of objection and a community petition on file. We have a few neighbors who have signed that petition. Okay, this is for record only. Now, let's go to Michelle.
Great. Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Michelle Biddle. I reside at 83 Hillside Drive. My property is located to the rear of the proposed garage on the northwest side. I'm representing the homeowners of Hillside Drive today. A primary concern regarding the 1260 Broadview Avenue proposal is variance number 3. The owner is requesting a garage total floor area of 90.96 meters squared when the bylaw explicitly states that the maximum floor area on a lot is 60 meters squared. We feel the request for 50% additional floor area constitutes a major variance, not a minor variance. Toronto's official plan states that neighborhoods are not to stay frozen in time and that some physical change will occur so long as the new physical changes are sensitive, gradual, and generally fit the existing physical character. The proposed building size does not constitute a gradual physical change. There was a Broadview Avenue study completed in June 2016 that included the Broadview Avenue Urban Design Guidelines for infill along Broadview Avenue between Danforth and O'Connor Avenue. It defined an area, Character Area E, comprising properties from 1102 to 1276 Broadview, and that's inclusive of 1260. This area is designated neighborhoods under the official plan. Neither the Avenue and Mid-Rise study nor the official plan identify this area as an area for intensification. The request to increase total floor area by 50% over the bylaw is a gross overage and directly contradicts the City of Toronto bylaw as well as the intent of the Broadview study. Finally, and more importantly, we are very concerned that a potential approval of this variance will set precedent for building 50% larger ancillary buildings behind detached homes, setting into motion far-reaching ramifications for residential communities and thereby reducing green space. This requested variance should be considered very carefully. The variance does not meet any of the 4 tenets required by the Committee of Adjustment. To be fair, we'd like to understand the owner's intention on building this extra large garage, specifically the justification for a garage length of 29.1 feet when a standard garage is typically 20 to 22 feet in length. There are other garages located on various properties behind our homes that easily fit within the 60-meter squared maximum floor area as defined within the Toronto bylaw. We are aware that the owner has various business operations in the area and have concerns that vehicle equipment and operations could potentially overflow onto the property, especially since the owner is not residing at the home. The detached home has been in disrepair for a number of years, with the only visible change being a number of mailboxes that have been added to the side of the house. The question an extra large garage being constructed when the home, previously an illegal rooming house, is unoccupied by the owner. In terms of privacy, last fall, 2 huge trees were cut down that had previously provided cover over the rear of the property. These trees have provided noise absorption from vehicles driving over the gravel driveway at the rear of the house. With the proposed garage being built closer to the rear of the property, we anticipate increased vehicle traffic and thus increased noise. The trees that were cut down had also mitigated vehicle headlights from shining through the rear windows of our homes at night. See, the backs of our homes are 75% windows, so the lights are very intrusive.
Michelle, sorry to interrupt you. Are you reading off that letter that has been submitted to the committee?
I am not, no. I am not. No, I summarized it.
Okay, because a lot of these things
Can I
are,
go ahead?
we've kind of read in the petition letter. So I was just kind of confirming.
Okay, can I go forward?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. We propose that the owner should plant mature trees at the rear of the garage and include it in the design plan. We also propose the owner should pave the driveways to keep the noise levels down. And finally, we'd like to ensure that any garage lighting is attached at the front of the garage, below the garage height, and pointing away from properties. And regarding variance 4, the owner is asking for a garage rear setback of 1.09 meters versus the 2 meters that is required by the bylaw, almost a 50% variance again. We have concerns that the rear of the garage, being located approximately 1 meter from our rear properties, will create an echoing effect. Additionally, the massive back wall of the garage stretches across the entire width of the property, towering over a 6-foot fence, and will be a huge eyesore. This will severely diminish our backyard experience. If the owner adheres to the bylaw, the minimum 2-meter setback, this will provide room for mature trees to be planted at the rear of the property, which will dampen out noise and give the homeowners a much more pleasing view. Aside from this, we don't understand the justification of requiring this variance, as there appears to be no compelling reason to locate the building so close to the rear fence line. The rear of the property is a blank slate with no barriers preventing the owner from meeting the 2-meter distance. This variance does not meet many of the tenets that are required by the Committee of Adjustment. And we're not going to focus on variances 1 and 2, as we expect them to drop out once the other variances, they'll drop out. Sorry. That's all I have.
Okay. Any questions for Michelle? No? Okay. Michelle, thank you for your time. I will now move on to Bill Ross, who's the owner's representative. Bill?
Yes, Madam Chairman.
So
First,
you heard the comments from Michelle, and
Yeah.
I'm assuming you've also read the letter of objection and the community petition. What are your thoughts on the concerns?
Okay. Item number 4. We would like to remove that item.
That is the height?
No, that's the rear yard.
Sorry about that. Yes. So the minimum rear yard setback for the ancillary building or the structure is equal to half the height of the ancillary building, 2 meters. The proposed rear yard setback of the ancillary building is 1.09. So you are withdrawing that and you will comply with the required setback.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So variance 4 has been withdrawn.
Okay, so now I just want to make some comment about the use of the building here. My client purchased the building about 1.5 years ago. And since then, they've been trying to get the tenants evicted from the building because they'd like to renovate it. But they can't renovate it because the courts at the moment with COVID are not open. So we're before the courts, but we haven't been heard yet. So that's the reason we hadn't done any improvement on the building or started there. And secondly, the question comes up is, well, why do we need such a big building? And the reason is that my client has 2 cars. One is a summer one that he uses in the summer, and the other he parks in the garage. He has a boat with a trailer, 3 ATVs, 1 for him, 2 for his kids, a snowmobile, 3 dirt bikes, motorcycle type dirt bikes, and a trailer or 2 to accommodate them. And that's why the garage is so large, because we like to accommodate those things. They're all personal use items. We're not carrying out a business in the back of the thing or storing anything there that's inappropriate. And that was some of the question that was being asked. I would also state that the fact that we're now moving it 2 feet, or pardon me, to 2 meters, we comply with the side yard setbacks, the rear yard setback, the building height. We are a little bit larger than what the building, the bylaw allows, but we are a very large lot. I mean, we've got, when you look at it, the reality is that 65% of this lot is unoccupied by structures, except for the 0.13 of a meter that we're talking about here. So there's lots of green space, lots of distance between everything. The question about was the lighting from cars coming in. Well, there's already a garage in the backyard, and cars came in already. There's no, in fact, this is going to make it better because the light can't penetrate through the garage to their properties. And she was stating that this mammoth garage, well, the mammoth garage complies in the height of the building code and our bylaws. And the fence is 6 feet high, and the garage is 9 feet high to the eaves. So there's only 3 feet of wall exposed to their view. We have talked to the neighbors on both sides of our house on Broadview Avenue. They have no objection to the application. We've talked to the lady behind us, number 21, or pardon me, 81. We talked to her last night, and we told her that we were going to plant trees or bushes, whatever, some cedar trees that think along the back to hide the sidewall of the garage for them. So there's really no super adverse impact on anybody here because we comply with the bylaw as far as the side yards, the height, the rear yard, the side yard. And the garage itself has only a double garage door and a single man door. And the driveway is quite narrow, so you can't be bringing big trucks and equipment and stuff in there. That's our case. We think although it's large, it's minor in nature because we're basically at the maximum of the coverage for the lot. There's lots of green space, lots of open area. And the renovations will be done as soon as we can get the tenants out.
Bill, can I ask, can I ask you a question? I know you have expressed your intent to remove or withdraw variance number 4, which is actually, in my mind, creating a little bit of a concern here. Right now, you are very close to the fence, right? Which is typical of, any shed buildings or any accessory buildings on any properties. Now that the garage will be moved approximately 6 feet away from the fence with 3-meter sort of access on the sides, to me, this is also a maintenance question. And if it's not maintained well, the area behind the garage, it can actually start to become a nuisance. There could be, it could start being used as a, like a garbage area, or, it could be wildlife issues there. Like, how do you think it's going to be maintained?
Oh, there's enough space to get down the side yard to get there. There's 3 feet, 3 feet, 3 inches there. 0.97 of a meter. So it's 3 foot 2 inches. There's enough space to reach that back portion. And we're going to plant bushes in there to hide the building. And we're doing this basically as a concession to the neighbors. I mean, they're saying it's an ugly building, they're going to look at it. That's why we're moving it further away.
Okay. Members of the committee, any questions? Please, Member Macaulay.
Yeah, I don't understand this variance 4. I see and understand that the proposed rear yard setback was 1.09 meters. And now the applicant is saying to strike that one. So then we're left with the minimum rear yard setback for the ancillary building or structure is equal to half the height of the ancillary building or structure. Is the minimum rear yard setback
2 meters?
Is it 2 meters, or is the height of the building 2 meters and the side yard is half that? I just don't understand what's.
That's what it is.
It's half the height. The setback would be half the height of the building. So in this case, the building is probably 4 meters, I'm assuming?
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
So the proposed rear yard setback is 1.09.
But he's saying he doesn't want that anymore. He's going to go back to 2 meters.
Yes.
Okay? Is that where we're at?
Yes. Yeah.
He's proposing a 2 meter
Correct.
rear yard setback.
So if he withdraws that, then he has to comply with the rear yard setback, and that would be 2 meters.
Bingo.
So this is almost like, through the chair, sorry. This is almost like a mini angular plane kind of thing, right? Where I guess I shouldn't be talking about intent, so I won't. So
That's for the side. Okay. So basically, if he strikes that out, then they have to comply with the 2 meter rear yard setback, which is approximately 6 feet. My concern and my sort of was, how do you maintain that area?
No, I heard you.
For the 6 months of the year where it's snow and it's, how this area starts to manifest itself. In fact, it could start to become a nuisance for the neighbor at the back. I'm just throwing it out there as something to ponder about. Member Macaulay.
Okay, I have a couple of questions to the applicant here. I think the building, from what we see, is all going to be stucco, with the only openings are on the front, being the garage and the door. Are there any other openings?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so what you're looking at is a solid stucco building, garage, and a door. What would be the setbacks on both sides? I'm listening to the discussion about maintenance. And if you've got a 2 meter maintenance at the back, that would be roughly 6 feet, and that would be sufficient to plant what we used to call it a hardy hedgerow, but a row of cedars could be a hardy hedgerow, which would essentially not require anything other than the trees to be back there and virtually no maintenance in the back. But on the side yards, you may need to do something as well, although you probably have more space there. Have you considered what you're going to do on the side yards? We're talking just at the moment, talking maintenance of this fairly large building.
On the side yard?
Yes.
There's adequate space to get in there with the weed whacker and cut the grass.
There won't be anything, Member Macaulay. It's just a
Okay.
side yard setback.
Okay. All right. The next question is, you said you needed this large garage because you have a lot of cars and snowmobiles and bikes, and you gave us a great big long list. Is it the owner's intent of the owners of these cars and bikes, etc., to eventually live in this property?
No, I don't think so.
So the owners that you're representing today will not be living in this house?
No, it's the owner lives very, very close in the area.
So whose equipment is all that you were referring to that's going to be stored? And if the owner is not going to be living here, whose equipment is that's being stored here?
It's the owner's equipment.
So let's say if this property were to be rented out, the owner will be using.
Right now it's I'm sorry. Right now it's a rooming house.
Yes.
Oh, it's a rooming house.
Yes, we understand.
Yes.
We understand
And it's basically illegal, and we're in the process of taking the tenants to court so we can fix the place up. But it's a
but
it's an investment property.
Okay, got it.
Okay. Okay.
And the man owns it. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so your intent is that you're going to fix up the first part of the property and get rid of the existing tenants,
and then lease out that building to new tenants. And the owner who lives someplace in this vicinity is going to store all his cars and bikes and snowmobiles and boats into this new garage that you're proposing. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Thank you. No more questions.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions for Bill? Yes, please.
Bill, are you aware of and okay with the urban forestry condition number 2?
That urban forestry condition, yeah, we're happy enough with whatever they want to put on the paper. But the reality was when the new owner first in and occupied the building, or at least took possession of it, the neighbors next door were building some kind of a rental thing in the back of the house. It was a coach house that they converted to an apartment or something or other. And they were in the process of doing that. And there was a complaint to the Parks Department, or at least to the Forestry Department, that these trees were rotting. And they were very old and very large, and they were rotting in the center, and there was a concern that they were going to fall over onto the other property. And we got permission from the Forestry Department to remove them. So they've been gone for about 1.5 years.
Okay, so that's what that condition is actually.
I'm assuming what happened was that the forestry guy looks at Google, and it's an older Google that shows a couple of big trees there, and he puts that down in his report and sends it over. But we've already had permission to have those taken out, and that was done about 1.5 years ago.
Okay, so Bill, we can't confirm that. What we have before us is a condition. What I would say is that should the committee move forward with a decision on this, we add this condition. And if this condition has been satisfied, the Urban Forestry Department will have no issues at that point. But at least we would have checked the boxes. Okay, so I suggest that we leave it in. And if it's met, it's met. So going back to the application now, any further questions for Bill, or do you want to take the matter into consideration? Deliberation. Before we do that, Bill, want to confirm, you still want to withdraw your variance number 4?
Well, the neighbors would like me to do that, and that's why I'm doing it. That's why I'm doing it. I'm trying to be as neighborly as possible here with people.
Well, the neighbors don't want you to build a garage, so that's a different story.
But they also thought it was too close and that I should comply with the bylaw. So
True.
I'm complying with the bylaw.
True. Okay, makes sense. All right. So Bill still wants to withdraw that variance. However, it's still in the hands of the committee to make the decision whether to accept that or not. But okay, Member Macaulay. Your mic.
You have the ability, you may not, to Google the backyard and the adjacent backyards at this location. I'm looking to see what is behind this lot and on the adjacent lots, see a garage on the north one. I don't know if there's, I'm wondering what we have in that vicinity.
The trees there.
The trees, what trees are there, whether there are other garages at the rear property lines.
Through the chair, I will pull up a map.
Thank you.
There are trees, but I can't tell whose property they belong to, and I could see some structures back there, but not sure what exactly they are. Is there a survey there?
Just gonna hold on.
There's a survey there. It doesn't show trees. Can't see any trees. Oh, it's a nice view.
Through the chair, Member Macaulay, would you like me to pan out or scroll up?
Zoom in a bit.
Zoom in?
Just immediately behind the property, right? So that's the property. Right there. Perfect. So that's the tree on the property that would be removed. Yeah, that's gone.
Sorry. Yes, there's some sort of fence back there, and the other houses don't have as deep a backyard as what the subject property has.
Correct.
Okay, and just the confirmation from staff that this garage, the definition of a garage is for storage of motor vehicles only. They can't turn it into a workshop without becoming in conflict with the zoning bylaw.
What do you mean a workshop? You mean are you trying to ask if it could be converted into a living space?
No, workshop.
Workshop?
Yeah.
If it doesn't require any servicing or plumbing or anything, then I would say that space could be used for storage or for any other work. Not for commercial use, but for personal little workshop.
Well, that's where I was asking. A garage usually is for the storage of automobiles and equipment.
Not through the chair, not necessarily. It can be used for a workshop. The zoning is clear that it should not be used for human habitation.
Okay.
So when you have bathrooms and when you have
any
sanitary facilities.
Okay. All right. So it could be a storage of used for accommodation for the car and the bikes and everything else, or it could be used for storage of other material, but not a dwelling.
Correct.
Okay. All right. It's a garage, not an accessory building, correct?
The garage is an accessory building.
This is an accessory building.
The garage is an accessory building, right?
Okay.
And that's what the variances are. It says ancillary buildings or structures, which includes garage, are not to exceed 10%. What's being proposed is 12.76. And then there's a size, total floor area of the ancillary buildings being proposed, and then there's a setback which has been requested to be withdrawn.
Okay. Taking a look, and I'm still pondering here, taking a look at this Google view, I think with the garage at the 2-meter setback line probably is a good blank wall behind the houses on the other side, and probably provides a better buffer to whatever happens in their backyards than if the garage was not located there. And looking at what is happening in that location, if the applicant wants to put trees down there, fine, but I'm less inclined to suggest that he put a hardy hedgerow down there, but rather just have the opportunity to walk back behind the garage and maintain it and pick up whatever litter there is. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Other members, any comments, remarks? So just to remind, we have before us now 3 variances. The applicant is requesting that he's actually proposing that the variance number 4 be removed. So it's in your hands now. I want to remind the committee of the actual variances. For the first one, the lot coverage is it's an increase of 0.13%. The size of the, I would say, the lot coverage is an increase of 12.76%. There's a 30 square meter addition to the ancillary building. So, yes, Member Macaulay.
Okay, Madam Chair, I think we've given this a fair amount of consideration. We've listened to what the community is saying, listened to their concerns, and gained a bit more information from the applicant as to his intent with this property. I'm going to recommend approval of the applications, bearing in mind that he has removed variance number 4
So as modified.
as modified.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to approve the 3 variances, 1, 2, and 3, because variance number 4 has been withdrawn by the applicant or proposed to be withdrawn by the applicant. May I have a seconder to this motion? And there's a condition.
Madam Chair, I would second it with a friendly amendment to add urban forestry condition 2. If you're
Okay,
agreeable with that.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, so we have a seconder to the motion and with an amendment that the condition of urban forestry be added. All in favor of this motion? Right, the motion has been carried, the application is approved, subject to condition of urban forestry, and it was modified to remove variance number 4. Thank you. And the last one. Okay, so now we move on to the last item on today's agenda, which is item number 21. Item number 21 is for 82 Eden Avenue. And the application here is to permit the construction of a 3rd-story rear addition and interior alterations to all floors of the existing dwelling. And we have before us 2 variances for the height of the exterior main walls and the FSI. We have registered with us the agent and the owner, Marty Ting Chen. Marty, are you with us?
Yes.
Thank you. And we also have the immediate neighbor who has registered to speak in opposition, and that is Annie LaBelle. And Annie, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Thank you very much. Okay, so just bear with us, members of the committee. Do you have any questions for the agent and the owner? Marty is with us. Member Said.
Madam Chair, if the applicant can just clarify on the FSI, like what the percentage is there, but exactly how much it's equate to?
It's in the notice, Member Said. The permitted maximum floor space index is 0.69 times the lot area, which equates to 159 square meters, whereas the proposed permitted maximum floor space index is, the proposed is 0.7 times, which equates to 162. So you're looking at 3 square meters in addition. It's like 10 square feet.
10 square feet, yeah. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Right? Okay. 30 or 3? Oops.
So I was
3 square meters is 30. 30
more
square
than
feet.
that, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, okay. But yeah, well, by default, the programming is imperial. Okay, so it's 3 square meters, which roughly equates to 30 square feet of addition. And the height of the main wall, the exterior main walls is 7.5 required, proposed is 9.4. Any questions before I go to Marty? Okay, I see none. Marty, over to you. Would you like to have, do you have any comments or remarks before we move on to speaking with the neighbor?
有没有什么问题？No comment.
Okay, thank you. So just so you know, we are going to speak with the immediate neighbor, who is Annie LaBelle, and then she will tell us what her concerns are, and then you will get a chance to reply back to the concerns, okay? All right. Annie.
Yes, hello. It's really a question. It's regarding the proposed roof plan, which is kind of page 7 of the plan file. So it shows from front to back, from left to right, existing sloping roof, and then existing sloping roof, and then at the back, the proposed flat roof. So this week we received, or a few neighbors received, a letter from Mary Chen, the owner, showing a drawing, a hand drawing of the front view of the future dwelling, of the future after the reno. And it shows a squaring off of the roof at the front. So kind of removing the sliding or sloping roof and making it flat at the front. So I want to ask really, what is the final roof structure going to look like?
So in the package that probably you received, there is a drawing number called number 2, Z1.2.
Yes.
Do you have a copy of that? So that's what's...
Yes, I do.
Is that similar to what was shown to you?
No, no. So I sent a copy of that handwritten and hand drawing letter to Catherine Darling from the city.
Okay.
Just yesterday, because we received this just yesterday. And it shows a drawing from Mary showing that it's square at the front. So there's none of the current, peaks that you see here.
Okay, so one thing I'm going to clarify is that what we have before us is what we are going to approve. Okay, I cannot speak to, so here's 2 things here. I'm going to backtrack. So we approve the variances here. Okay, we're not approving the roof slopes or anything. What we're approving today, if the committee approves it, we haven't approved anything yet, but if the committee approves the application today, the committee is only approving the requested variances that are before us, and that deals with the exterior main wall height and the floor space index. How the roofs pan out, what happens, that's beyond the jurisdiction of this committee. Okay?
Madam Chair, there is a condition from community planning that the drawings be in accordance with the site plan and elevations.
Okay, that's a good point. So my colleague just reminded me that should the committee approve this application today, we tie the approval to 3 drawings, which is the drawing for the site plan, which is drawing number 100. Then we have a drawing 202, that is the west elevation. And then there is a proposed south elevation, which is drawing number 203. Okay, so if the committee approves the application today, and committee has the opportunity to tie the decision.
My apologies through the chair, and my apologies to the members of the public. I had the wrong plans up here, so I'm just going to put them up right now. Sorry.
I was trying to find that one. Couldn't find it.
Through the chair, this is the west elevation right here.
The west elevation, which is drawing number?
This.
What's the package number? 545? Okay.
Yeah. This is drawing number 202.
Okay. Do you see this, Annie, on the screen?
Yes, I do.
Is this what you saw?
So that's not what the owner sent. So if you look at page 11 of that package, I think it's the next slide, the next page. Yes. So you see that there's a slanted or sloping roof at the front, at the right side.
Mm-hmm.
And so with the hand-drawn notice that the owner sent, and she did refer to this committee of assessment meeting. So what she draws is different than this.
Okay.
So I want to clarify, so as you're saying, if you approve the variances today, it's being approved per those drawings that you're showing here.
That's correct.
And if something different is being built, then it would not be, it would not conform.
Correct. That's correct. Absolutely. So we are going to, if the committee approves it, we're going to tie it to this these plans. What you have or what you've seen, first of all, we don't have that, and so we have no knowledge of that. So that's outside of our review at this point. Okay, so now let's get back to the actual discussion. Do you have any concerns with the proposed variances?
I don't have concerns with the proposed variances.
Okay, so this is more a clarification with respect to the drawings. Okay,
Correct.
fair enough. Okay, thank you very much. So now let's go back to Marty.
Hi.
Hi, Marty. So you heard that the neighbor was just trying to confirm the building elevation drawings. And we have provided clarification to her that we are only reviewing the drawings that are before us, which are included in the package and were part of the application. Okay, so I'm not
Yes.
I'm not sure what you or your client has shown to the neighbor, but just want to clarify that the drawings that are before us are being reviewed and will be tied if the decision is in favor of this application. Okay.
The drawing is just a misunderstanding. I got help from someone who didn't see the floor plan. I just told her how it's gonna be, but it's not like the plans. We are just going to build into what we
Submitted to the city.
what we planned. Yes.
Okay, so so what I'm hearing from you is that you will build in accordance with the plans that have been submitted to the city?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for confirming that. Members of the committee, any questions or clarification? See none, okay. So if there are no further, okay, and one more thing, Marty, is that we have a report from community planning, and that's what the recommendation was, that if the committee approves it, that they tie the approval to the drawings that are submitted to the city, okay? So I just want to kind of highlight that to you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on the screen. The recommendation is on the screen, if you can read the screen. Okay, members, if there are no questions or comments, may I please have a motion? Member Said?
Madam Chair, I will move the motion for approval of item number 21, subject to the community planning conditions.
Okay, and the condition is that as per community planning. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. May I have a seconder, please?
Happily, I'll second that.
Gary seconds the motion. All in favor of this motion? The motion's carried. The application has been approved, subject to the condition that it be tied to the plans as listed in the community planning staff report. Thank you very much. That brings us to... Thank you. That brings us to the end of our agenda, and I will just see if there's anything else on the agenda. Any business?
And of course, it's the cities, or TEY.
This is nothing. And so the date of the next meeting was December 15, and that is for TEY?
That's correct. There will be a TEY meeting that's going to be hosted by the Scarboro panel on December the 15th. It'll be a combination of both TEY applications and Scarboro applications.
Okay. I have a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'm sure I move that we adjourn.
Okay, we have a seconder. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.